The marriage had 12 hours to become real, or everything would burn. Caleb Turner never imagined his life would come down to this: a fake wedding certificate, a terrified billionaire in his kitchen, and a stepbrother who played corporate warfare like chess. One wrong move, and Iris Hale would lose her empire. One hesitation, and Caleb would lose the only chance to save his daughter's future. But here's the thing about desperate people: they fight harder than anyone expects. Stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city name so I can see how far this journey travels. The knock came at 9:47 p.m. Caleb Turner knew this because he'd been staring at the microwave clock, watching leftover spaghetti rotate under the pale yellow light, wondering if he'd actually eat it or just go to bed hungry again. The day had been brutal: 3 custom orders behind schedule, a lumber supplier demanding payment up front, and his daughter Maya's school asking about the overdue field trip deposit. He wasn't expecting visitors. The knock came again, sharper this time. Not the friendly tap of a neighbor, not the rhythmic pattern of a delivery driver. This was urgency wrapped in restraint. Caleb wiped sawdust from his forearms. It never fully came off, no matter how many times he showered, and walked through his small apartment. The space told the story of a man doing his best with what he had. Maya's art projects taped to the fridge, a bookshelf made from reclaimed wood, work boots lined up by the door like soldiers at attention. He opened it. Iris Hale stood in the hallway, rain dripping from her charcoal coat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Caleb recognized her immediately. You didn't forget a woman like Iris Hale. 3 months ago, she'd walked into his workshop, Turner Woodworks, a modest operation in Seattle's industrial district, and hired him to renovate her executive office. Not through an assistant, not through a contractor. She'd come herself, handed him architectural drawings, and asked if he could work with reclaimed materials. I want it to feel honest, she'd said. He'd delivered. The project had been grueling: 60-hour weeks, intricate joinery, wood sourced from deconstructed century-old barns. But when it was done, even Iris's stone-faced assistant had smiled. She'd paid him well, shaken his hand, disappeared back into her world of glass towers and board meetings. And now she was here, soaked, shaking slightly, a canvas weekender bag slung over her shoulder like she'd packed in 30 seconds. Ms. Hale? Caleb's voice carried the cautious tone of a man who'd learned not to assume anything. Caleb. Her voice was steady, but he could hear the hairline fracture beneath it. I need to come inside. He stepped back without asking why. Iris entered like she was crossing a border, eyes scanning the apartment with the assessment of someone used to measuring risk. She set the bag down carefully, then turned to face him. Up close, the difference was striking. The woman who'd commanded his workshop 3 months ago had worn power like a second skin. Tailored suits, perfect posture, the kind of confidence that made contractors scramble. Tonight, her hair was damp and tangled. Her makeup had started to smudge at the edges. She looked like someone who'd been running. I'm sorry to come here unannounced, Iris said. I didn't know where else to go. Caleb gestured toward the small living room. Sit. I'll make coffee. I don't need... You're shaking. Sit. Something in his tone, not unkind but final, made her obey. While the coffee brewed, Caleb watched her from the kitchen. Iris sat on the edge of his second-hand couch, hands folded in her lap, breathing like she was counting inhales, professional composure struggling against whatever had driven her here. He poured 2 mugs, black, and sat across from her in the armchair he'd reupholstered himself. Start anywhere, he said. Iris wrapped her hands around the mug. The heat seemed to ground her. My father died 18 months ago, she began. Heart attack, sudden. He left me controlling shares of Hale Innovations, a technology and manufacturing company he built over 30 years. $200 million in annual revenue. 400 employees. Caleb nodded. He'd looked up her company after the office job. Impressive operation. Good reputation. My stepbrother Victor got a VP position and a trust fund. He's 15 years older than me, my father's son from his first marriage. Victor expected to inherit everything. When he didn't, he smiled at the funeral and told me he'd be patient. The way she said patient made Caleb's jaw tighten. Tonight, Iris continued, her voice dropping, Victor's lawyer found a clause buried in my father's trust, a clause I didn't know existed. She set down the mug with deliberate care. If I'm not legally married by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, Friday, control of Hale Innovations transfers to Victor, automatically, irrevocably. Caleb went very still. Your father put that in writing? My father was old-fashioned about legacy, about family. He assumed I'd be married by now. I'm 32. The clause was meant as incentive, insurance. I don't think he imagined Victor would use it as a weapon. Why not just get married? The question came out blunter than Caleb intended. You've got resources, options. Iris's laugh was bitter. I thought the same thing for about 5 minutes. Then I realized anyone in my world, anyone I could reach on short notice, would either be connected to Victor, looking for leverage, or both. A marriage to someone in my circle would create new vulnerabilities, new pressure points. She met his eyes directly. I need someone outside the ecosystem, someone who can't be bought or intimidated by corporate politics. Someone Victor won't see coming. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Caleb leaned back, processing. His daughter's face flashed through his mind. Maya, 9 years old, already learning to check price tags at the grocery store because she understood money was tight. You want me to marry you, he said slowly. Yes. Why me specifically? Because you're honest. Because when I hired you for that office, you didn't try to upsell me. You told me what I actually needed. Your crew respected you. Your work was impeccable. And when I paid you, you didn't ask for more, even though I know you needed it. Caleb's expression darkened slightly. You investigated me? I did due diligence. After my father died, I learned to investigate everyone. Iris's tone held no apology. You're a single father. Your wife died 4 years ago, cancer. You're raising your daughter alone. Your workshop is good but struggling. You have integrity. She leaned forward. Integrity is rare, Caleb, especially in my world. He stood, walked to the window. Rain streaked the glass. Below, Seattle's lights blurred into watercolor. This is insane, he said quietly. It is. Your stepbrother will challenge it, investigate, look for cracks. He will. And if he finds them, if this falls apart, you lose everything anyway. Iris stood too. I'm aware of the risks. Caleb turned. What's in it for me? The question wasn't callous, it was practical. Iris seemed to respect that. I won't insult you with cash, she said, but I can hire Turner Woodworks legitimately for a series of projects. Market rate. Prepaid contracts. Enough work to stabilize your business for the next 2 years. And when the marriage ends, quiet divorce, 6 months, maybe a year. We cite irreconcilable differences, no drama. You walk away clean. Caleb rubbed his jaw, feeling the day's stubble. His mind ran calculations. Maya's school expenses, the workshop's overhead, the slowly drowning feeling of bills he juggled every month. But there was something else, too. He thought about the way Iris had looked at his office renovation, really looked, running her hands over the joinery, asking about the wood's history. She'd cared about the craft, not just the optics. If I do this, Caleb said carefully, we do it right. No shortcuts, no sloppiness. Your stepbrother gets even a whiff of fraud, and this whole thing collapses. Iris nodded. Agreed. That means you don't just show up for a courthouse signature. If we're selling this as real, it has to look real, act real. What are you suggesting? Caleb crossed his arms. You'll need to move in, tonight. Iris blinked. Excuse me? Think about it. Victor's going to investigate immediately. He'll send people to my apartment, to my workshop. If we claim we've been secretly together for months, there needs to be evidence. Your things here, routines, neighbors who've seen you coming and going. That's non-negotiable, Caleb said. You want this bulletproof? Then we build it bulletproof. Iris stared at him. Then slowly she picked up her bag. Where's the bedroom? Boss pendiente. 11:34 p.m. Iris sat on the floor of Caleb's daughter's room, surrounded by her hastily unpacked belongings, trying to make this look natural. Maya's room was small but loved, walls painted lavender, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, a bookshelf overflowing with fantasy novels and craft supplies. Caleb had insisted Iris use the master bedroom while he took the couch. If someone checks, they need to see us sharing space, he'd explained. So Iris moved her designer luggage into a room that still smelled faintly of sawdust and laundry detergent. She hung a few blouses in the closet next to Caleb's flannel shirts, placed her toiletries in the bathroom. It felt invasive and strange and necessary. Caleb appeared in the doorway, holding 2 beers. "You drink?" "Tonight I do." He handed her one, then sat against the opposite wall. For a moment, they just breathed. "Maya knows nothing about this," Caleb said firmly. "She's at her grandmother's tonight, my late wife's mother. She'll be back tomorrow after school." "How will you explain me?" "Carefully." He took a long drink. "She's 9, she's smart. She'll have questions." "What will you tell her?" Caleb was quiet for a moment. "That sometimes adults make complicated choices to protect people they care about, and that you're someone I trust." The simplicity of it landed hard. Iris looked down at her beer. "I'm asking you to lie to your daughter." "You're asking me to protect my future," Caleb corrected. "There's a difference." "Is there?" He met her eyes. "My daughter eats cereal for dinner sometimes because I'm working late. She wears her cousin's hand-me-downs. Last month, she asked me why we don't go on vacations like her friends. I told her we're saving for something important." His voice didn't waver, but Iris heard the weight in it. "This isn't just about money," Caleb continued. "It's about showing Maya that her father doesn't give up, that when things get hard, we find solutions, even weird ones." Iris felt something crack in her chest. "You're a good father." "I'm a tired father." He smiled faintly. "But I'm trying." They drank in silence for a while. Outside, the rain had softened to mist. "We need a story," Iris said eventually. "A timeline, how we met, when we fell for each other, why we kept it secret." Caleb nodded. "We met during the office renovation. Professional at first, but we kept talking after the job finished." "Coffee meetings?" "Yeah, Wednesday mornings. That coffee shop near your building, the one with the weird abstract art." "Lucia's." "Right. We'd meet there. Talk about work, life. Eventually it became more." Iris followed the thread. "But we kept it quiet because mixing business and personal felt risky. Plus I was dealing with company politics. You were managing Maya. We wanted privacy." "Until the trust clause forced our hand," Caleb finished. "It was plausible. Simple enough to remember. Detailed enough to withstand surface-level scrutiny. "We'll need photos," Iris said. "Evidence of a relationship." Caleb grimaced. "Fake photos feel not fake. Real photos of us together, starting now." She pulled out her phone. "Come here." He moved beside her, awkward in the small space. Iris angled the camera, capturing them in soft lamplight, her leaning against his shoulder, both of them looking tired but present. She took 3 shots. "Those work," Caleb admitted, looking at the screen. "We look like people who know each other." "We do know each other," Iris said quietly. "At least a little." 1:43 a.m. They were still awake, sitting at Caleb's kitchen table, building the architecture of their fake relationship. "Favorite movie?" Iris asked, pen hovering over a notepad. "The Shawshank Redemption." She wrote it down. "Food you hate?" "Olives." "You?" "Cilantro. Tastes like soap." Caleb smiled despite himself. "My late wife said the same thing." Iris's pen paused. "Can I ask about her?" He was quiet for a beat. "Sarah. We met in college. She was studying architecture. I was in a carpentry apprenticeship. She saw furniture I'd made for a student exhibition and told me it was good enough to sell." "Was she right?" "Eventually." Caleb's expression softened. "She believed in me before I believed in myself. We got married young. Had Maya. Then Sarah got sick when Maya was 5. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4 by the time they found it." "I'm sorry." "Me too." He took a breath. "She fought hard. Made it almost a year past what the doctors predicted. Left me instructions, letters for Maya's birthdays, advice about raising a daughter, stupid stuff like reminding me to check the smoke detectors." Iris's throat tightened. "Sarah would have liked you," Caleb added. "She had a thing about competent women. Called it recognizing the real ones." I'm not sure I'm real, Iris said softly. Most days I'm just performing. That's real too, Caleb said, surviving however you can. The kitchen fell quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. My turn, Caleb said. Why did your father choose Victor's name for the company and not yours? Iris flinched slightly. Hale Innovations was founded before I was born. Victor's mother, my father's first wife, died when Victor was 12. My father remarried my mother a few years later. I think he never fully let go of that first family. Victor represented something I couldn't. Legacy? Redemption, maybe. Iris twisted her ring, a nervous habit Caleb had already noticed. My father wasn't cruel, but he was distant. He showed love through expectations, achievements. When I took over operations at 28, I thought I'd finally earned his respect. Did you? I'll never know. Her voice went hollow. He died 3 weeks before our quarterly review meeting. I had a presentation ready, numbers proving I'd increased efficiency by 18%. He never saw it. Caleb reached across the table, his hand covering hers, stopping the ring twisting. You don't have to prove anything to a ghost, he said. Iris looked at their hands, calloused fingers over manicured nails, 2 different worlds touching. Thank you, she whispered. 6:15 a.m. Caleb's alarm shattered what little sleep they'd managed. He found Iris already awake, standing in the kitchen in one of his old t-shirts, making coffee with the precision of someone who'd memorized his setup overnight. You figured out the French press, he observed. I'm a quick study. They moved around each other carefully, the choreography of strangers pretending to be familiar. Caleb made scrambled eggs. Iris found bread and made toast. It should have been awkward. Instead, it felt strangely functional. We have 14 hours, Iris said, checking her watch. The courthouse opens at 9. We need to be there early. Lines get long on Fridays. You've researched this. I've researched everything. She handed him coffee. Marriage license, waiting periods, notary requirements. Washington State makes it relatively simple. Caleb ate mechanically, his mind already running through logistics. After the ceremony, then what? Then we go to my attorney's office, file the marriage certificate, trigger the trust clause review, and prepare for Victor's response. Which will be? Immediate. Vicious. Thorough. Iris's expression hardened. He'll investigate you, your business, your history. He'll look for any inconsistency, any proof this is fraudulent. Then we don't give him any. A phone buzzed. Iris checked hers and her face went pale. What? Caleb asked. She turned the screen toward him. Email from Victor Hale. Subject, family obligations. Time, 6:02 a.m. Dear Iris, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to reach out personally regarding the upcoming trust deadline. I know these past 18 months have been difficult, and I want you to understand. I hold no ill will toward you. Our father's wishes were clear. If circumstances prevent you from meeting the requirements, I'm prepared to take on the burden of leadership. It's what family does. I've arranged for a transition team to be ready by noon tomorrow. I thought it considerate to give you advance notice. Warmly, Victor Caleb read it twice. He's twisting the knife. He's declaring victory, Iris said coldly. He thinks I've already lost. Good. Caleb stood, clearing plates. Let him think that. Overconfidence makes people sloppy. Iris watched him move through the small kitchen with practiced efficiency. Rinsing dishes, wiping counters, the automatic rhythm of someone who'd been doing this alone for years. You're not afraid of him, she said. Caleb glanced back. I'm terrified of him, but fear doesn't change what needs doing. He grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door. Get dressed, he said. We've got a wedding to catch. 8:47 a.m. King County Courthouse. The courthouse smelled like floor wax and bureaucratic exhaustion. Caleb and Iris stood in line behind 2 other couples, one young and giggling, the other elderly and patient. The contrast was sharp, genuine love waiting alongside strategic necessity. Iris wore simple clothes, dark jeans, a cream blouse, minimal jewelry. Nothing that screamed corporate executive. Caleb had changed into clean work pants and a button-down shirt that still carried the faint scent of wood stain. They looked like regular people. That was the point. Next, called the clerk, a woman in her 50s with reading glasses on a chain. They approached the counter. Marriage license application? The clerk asked without looking up. Yes, Iris said. The clerk slid a form across. Fill this out. Both parties. I'll need 2 forms of ID each. They worked in tandem. Iris's handwriting precise and architectural. Caleb's rougher but legible. Names, addresses, previous marital status. Caleb paused at spouse's occupation. Iris noticed. What's wrong? Nothing, just weird seeing it in writing. He wrote technology executive. She glanced at his form and wrote carpenter. The clerk processed their IDs with mechanical efficiency. License fee is $72. You can get married immediately. Washington has no waiting period. Immediately is fine, Iris said. The clerk finally looked up, studying them over her glasses. You're sure? Most couples like to plan a ceremony. Make it special. Caleb felt Iris tense beside him. We're sure, he said evenly. Sometimes the right choice doesn't need a production. The clerk's expression softened slightly. Courthouse weddings are my favorite, honestly. Less stress. More sincerity. She stamped their application. Judge Henderson is available in courtroom 3. Down the hall, second door on the left. Congratulations. 9:23 a.m. Courtroom 3. Judge Henderson was a black woman in her 60s with kind eyes and zero patience for nonsense. Names? She asked, reviewing their paperwork. Iris Hale and Caleb Turner. Witnesses? Caleb hesitated. They hadn't thought about witnesses. We'll provide them, the judge said, gesturing to 2 courthouse employees on break. Happens all the time. You 2 ready? Iris and Caleb stood before the bench. The room was small, functional. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, an American flag in the corner. No flowers, no music, no pretense. Judge Henderson began. Marriage is a legal and personal commitment. It requires honesty, patience, and mutual respect. Do you both enter this willingly? Yes, they said together. Caleb Turner, do you take Iris Hale to be your lawfully wedded wife? Caleb looked at Iris, this woman he barely knew, who'd crashed into his life 12 hours ago with rain in her hair and desperation in her eyes. I do. Iris Hale, do you take Caleb Turner to be your lawfully wedded husband? Iris met his gaze. For a moment, something flickered there. Gratitude, maybe. Or recognition. I do. Rings? They exchanged a panicked glance. Neither had thought about rings. Judge Henderson sighed. You can add them later. It's the certificate that matters legally. She signed the document with a flourish. By the power vested in me by the state of Washington, I now pronounce you married. Congratulations. Next case. It was over in 4 minutes. They walked out of the courtroom as husband and wife. In the hallway, Iris let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. That's it? She whispered. That's it, Caleb confirmed. She looked down at her bare ring finger. Something about the absence felt wrong. Caleb noticed. Come on, we've got one more stop before your attorney. Was 10:15 a.m. Turner Woodworks. Caleb's workshop occupied a converted warehouse near the industrial waterfront. The space was cluttered but organized. Tools hung on pegboards, lumber stacked by type and size, half-finished projects scattered across workbenches. It smelled like sawdust and possibility. Wait here, Caleb said. He disappeared into a back office while Iris wandered the shop floor. She ran her fingers over a dining table in progress. Walnut, she thought, with beautiful grain patterns. The craftsmanship was exceptional. Caleb returned holding a small wooden box. My mother made jewelry, he explained, opening it. Nothing fancy, just things she liked. Inside were simple pieces, mostly silver, some gold. Handmade. He pulled out a thin gold band, delicate but strong. It's not a diamond, Caleb said, but it's real, and if we're doing this, I'd rather you wear something with meaning than buy something fake. Iris stared at the ring. Your mother's? She would have wanted it used, not collecting dust. He held it up. May I? Iris extended her left hand. Caleb slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, close enough to perfect that it felt like a sign. "Thank you," Iris said quietly. "I'll take care of it." "I know you will." She looked around the workshop. "This is what you're fighting for, isn't it? Not just money. This, Caleb agreed, and Maya, and the crew who depends on me. And maybe the idea that good work still matters." His phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression shifted. "What?" Iris asked. "Text from my foreman. Someone was here an hour ago, asking questions about me, about my finances, taking photos." Iris's jaw tightened. Victor works fast. Then we work faster. Caleb grabbed his jacket. "Let's go file that certificate before he finds a way to stop us." 11:52 a.m. Law Office of Patricia Chen. Patricia Chen had been Iris's attorney for 6 years, a sharp woman in her 40s who specialized in corporate and estate law. She looked at the marriage certificate like it was a live grenade. "You got married this morning," Patricia said slowly. "Yes?" "To a carpenter you hired 3 months ago." "Yes." "And you expect me to file this with the trust administrators and pretend it's a normal Friday?" Iris leaned forward. "I expect you to do your job. The trust clause requires legal marriage. I'm legally married. File it." Patricia removed her glasses. "Iris, Victor is going to challenge this immediately. He'll claim fraud. He'll subpoena records. He'll make your life hell. He's already making my life hell. This is different. This is documented, traceable hell." Caleb spoke up. "What would make this legitimate in Victor's eyes?" Patricia looked at him, really looked, for the first time. "Honestly? Time, history, evidence of a genuine relationship, none of which you have." "We have a marriage certificate," Iris said, "which you obtained 12 hours before a deadline that would cost you a $200 million company. You see how that looks, right?" Caleb stood. "I see how it looks. I also see that sometimes people make fast decisions when they're out of options. My wife died 4 years ago. I didn't date, didn't think about it. Then Iris walked into my shop and something shifted. He was improvising, but his voice carried conviction. We kept it quiet because we're private people," Caleb continued. "We didn't announce it because corporate executives and small business owners don't exactly move in the same circles. When this trust thing came up, we realized we'd been dancing around something real, so we made it official." Patricia studied him. "You're a good liar." "I'm a good storyteller," Caleb corrected. "There's a difference." Despite herself, Patricia smiled. "I like him. He's got spine." She turned to Iris. "I'll file the certificate, but you need to prepare for war. Victor will come at you with everything." "Let him come," Iris said. Patricia printed the filing documents, notarized them, and sent them electronically to the trust administrators. "Done," she said. "As of 12:03 p.m., you are officially in compliance with the trust clause. Congratulations on your marriage and your continued control of Hale Innovations." Iris sagged slightly with relief. Then Patricia's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face went grim. "I see. Yes, I'll inform my client." She hung up. "That was the trust administrator," Patricia said. "Victor has filed an emergency motion claiming fraud. There's a hearing scheduled for Monday morning, 9 a.m. Iris closed her eyes. "Of course there is. He's also requested a full audit of your marriage, financial records, communications, living arrangements, everything." Caleb felt the walls closing in. "Can he do that?" "He can request it. Whether a judge grants it depends on what evidence he presents." Patricia stood. "I need to prepare a defense. You two need to go home and make sure your story is airtight, because Monday morning they're going to pull it apart thread by thread." 2:34 p.m. Caleb's apartment. They sat in shell-shocked silence. Iris had her laptop open, reading through legal documents. Caleb was on his phone texting his mother-in-law about keeping Maya one more night. "She's asking questions," Caleb said. "Linda, she wants to know why Maya can't come home." "Tell her the truth," Iris said. "Some of it, anyway." Caleb typed carefully. "Something came up with work. Big client situation. Need one more day to sort it. I'll explain soon, promise." The response came fast. You never ask for extra time. Are you okay? He wrote, I'm okay, just navigating something complicated. Complicated how? Caleb looked at Iris. Should I tell her? That you got married? Eventually, yes, but maybe not over text while we're in crisis mode. He pocketed the phone. This is going to get messy. It already is messy. Iris closed her laptop. We need to prepare for Monday. Victor's going to paint this as a sham. We need evidence it's not. What kind of evidence? The kind that shows a relationship. Photos, shared experiences, witnesses who can testify we've been together. Caleb ran a hand through his hair. We don't have that. We have 12 hours of fake marriage. Then we build it this weekend. How? Iris stood, pacing. We go public. Not with an announcement, but with presence. We go to dinner. We're seen together. We act like a couple who's been hiding a relationship and is now ready to be open. That's performance. Everything is performance, Caleb. The question is whether we perform well enough to make it believable. He wanted to argue, but she was right. Okay, he said. We perform, but we do it smart. Natural places. The kind of spots a couple like us would actually go. Where does a carpenter and a CEO go on a Friday night? Caleb thought. Somewhere in between. Not too fancy, not too casual. He grabbed his phone, searching. There's a restaurant in Ballard. Wood-fired pizza. Local ingredients. Nice enough to show you care. Casual enough to feel real. Book it. He made the reservation. 7:30 p.m. Done, Caleb said. What else? We need to synchronize our stories, practice the narrative until it's automatic. They spent the next 3 hours doing exactly that. Question. When did you know you had feelings for Iris? Answer. During the office project. She asked me about the wood's history, where it came from, what it had been before. Most clients don't care. She did. It stayed with me. Question. When did you know you had feelings for Caleb? Answer. When he brought his daughter to the final walkthrough. She asked if the desk I'd requested would hold all my important papers. He told her that important work deserves important furniture. He was teaching her values through craft. They refined, adjusted, memorized. By 6 p.m., they could answer questions without hesitation. We're ready, Iris said, but neither of them felt ready. 7:30 p.m. Copine Restaurant, Ballard. The restaurant was exactly what Caleb had promised. Warm lighting, exposed brick, the scent of wood-fired dough. They were seated near the window. Iris ordered wine. Caleb ordered beer. They shared a margarita pizza and a salad with roasted beets. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple. But underneath the performance, something was shifting. Tell me about Maya, Iris said, cutting into the pizza. Caleb's expression softened immediately. She's fierce, smarter than I was at 9. Loves fantasy books, dragons, magic, quests. Wants to be an architect like her mom. Does she remember Sarah? Some. Mostly feelings. The way Sarah smelled, vanilla and coffee. How she'd read bedtime stories with different voices for every character. He smiled sadly. Maya keeps one of Sarah's scarves. Sleeps with it sometimes. Iris's chest tightened. You're doing a good job with her. I'm doing the best I can. It's not always enough. It's more than you think. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Iris's phone buzzed. She checked it. Her face went rigid. What? Caleb asked. She turned the screen. A text from an unknown number. Cute date. Hope the pizza's worth $200 million. Attached was a photo, taken from across the street, of them sitting at their table. Victor was watching. Caleb's jaw set. He's trying to intimidate you. It's working. Don't let it. He reached across the table, taking her hand. We knew he'd be watching. This changes nothing. Iris looked at their intertwined fingers, his rough with calluses, hers smooth with clear polish. It feels different when it's real, she whispered. Then let's make it look so real he can't tell the difference. Caleb stood, pulling her up. What are you doing? Dancing. There's music. There's space. We're a couple celebrating our marriage. There's no dance floor. Then we make one. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. They swayed gently to the soft jazz playing overhead. Other diners noticed. A few smiled. Iris let herself lean into him, just slightly. You're better at this than I expected. Sarah loved dancing. I learned. They moved together, not perfectly, but genuinely. The performance was becoming something else, something neither of them had anticipated. When the song ended, Caleb didn't immediately let go. He's still watching, Iris murmured. Good, Caleb said. Then he kissed her. It was brief, soft, just enough to sell the moment. But when he pulled back, Iris's eyes were wide. Sorry, Caleb said quickly. I should have asked. No. Her voice was quiet. It was appropriate for the situation. They sat back down, both suddenly aware of a line they'd crossed. The rest of dinner passed in careful conversation. When they left, Caleb kept his hand on the small of Iris's back. Visible, protective, real. The photo Victor would receive would show exactly what he feared. They looked like people falling in love. 11:47 p.m. Caleb's apartment. Back home, the performance dropped. Iris changed into sleep clothes, borrowed sweats and another of Caleb's t-shirts. He set up the couch with blankets. You should take the bed, she said. I'm the one disrupting your life. You're my wife. You get the bed. Old-fashioned, I know. She didn't argue. In the bedroom, Iris lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The gold ring on her finger caught the streetlight from outside. In the living room, Caleb stared at the same streetlight, wondering how his life had become this strange. Neither slept much. At 1:23 a.m., Iris's phone lit up with an email. From Trust Administration Office, subject, Marriage Verification Audit. Ms. Hale, per the request of Victor Hale, we are initiating a formal audit of your marriage to Caleb Turner. This will include financial record review, interviews with associates, and verification of cohabitation. An investigator will contact you Monday morning. Regards, Trust Administration. Iris read it 3 times. Then she got up and walked to the living room. Caleb was still awake. Can't sleep either? He asked. She showed him the email. He read it, handed back the phone. They're coming at us hard. Maybe this was a mistake, Iris said quietly. Maybe I should just surrender. Let Victor have it. Walk away. You don't mean that. Don't I? She sank onto the couch beside him. I'm dragging you into a corporate war, forcing you to lie, putting your daughter in an impossible situation. Caleb turned to face her. You're giving me a chance to build something stable for Maya. You're trusting me with something important. That's not dragging, that's partnership. Partnership requires honesty. It requires trust, Caleb corrected, and I trust you're doing this for the right reasons. Iris felt tears threatening, the first in years. I don't know if there are right reasons anymore. Then we figure it out together. He said it so simply, like it was obvious. Iris wiped her eyes. I'm not used to help. I noticed. They sat in the dark, shoulders touching, 2 strangers bound by paper and necessity, and something neither could quite name. Tell me about the company, Caleb said. Not the numbers. What it means to you. Iris took a breath. My father built Hale Innovations from nothing. He was an engineer, brilliant, obsessive, terrible at relationships. When I was young, I barely saw him. He was always at the office. That must have been hard. It was lonely. But when I was 16, he brought me to the factory floor, showed me how our manufacturing process worked. For the first time, he talked to me like I mattered, like I could understand. She smiled at the memory. I fell in love with it. The problem solving, the systems, the way good design could improve people's lives. I got a degree in industrial engineering, worked my way up through the company, proved myself at every level. And your father noticed? Eventually, when I streamlined our supply chain and saved us $4 million, he made me VP of operations. I was 28. Victor was furious. Jealous? Terrified. Because I was good. Better than him. And he knew it. Caleb nodded slowly. So this isn't just about control. It's about legacy. It's about proving he was wrong to doubt me, Iris said, and maybe proving I was worth paying attention to. You don't have to prove that to anyone. Don't I? She looked at him. You said it yourself earlier. We all perform. I've been performing my whole life. Then maybe it's time to stop. I don't know how. Caleb reached over, taking her hand. Start small. Start with one true thing. Iris looked at their joined hands. What's your true thing? He thought. I'm scared. Terrified, actually. That I'm going to fail Maya. That the workshop will collapse. That I'll end up like my father, broken and bitter. Your father? Left when I was 12. Couldn't handle responsibility. I swore I'd never be him. But some days, Caleb trailed off. Some days I wonder if I'm just delaying the inevitable. You're not, Iris said firmly. You're here. You're fighting. That's the opposite of running. Maybe. They sat with that truth between them. My turn, Iris said. True thing. I'm not sure I know how to be happy. I know how to achieve, succeed, win. But happiness? I think I forgot. Caleb squeezed her hand. We'll figure it out. How can you be so sure? Because we're already here, already trying. That's more than most people do. Outside, the city hummed quietly. Inside, two people sat in the dark, building something fragile and necessary. Monday's going to be brutal, Iris said eventually. Yeah. Victor will try to destroy this. Probably. And we still barely know each other. True. She turned to look at him. Why did you really say yes? It wasn't just the money. Caleb was quiet for a long moment. Because you knocked on my door like someone who'd run out of options, he said finally. And I know what that feels like. I couldn't walk away from that. Iris felt something break open in her chest, something that had been locked for years. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. We haven't survived Monday. But when they finally went to their separate sleeping spaces, both felt a little less alone. The marriage might be fake, but the connection was starting to feel dangerously real. Saturday morning arrived with pale sunlight cutting through the apartment windows, and Caleb woke to the smell of coffee he hadn't made. He found Iris in the kitchen again, this time fully dressed in clothes that split the difference between her corporate world and his. Dark jeans, a soft gray sweater, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked younger somehow, more human. You're up early? He said, his voice still rough with sleep. Couldn't stay in bed. Too much in my head. She poured him a mug without asking. I've been thinking about Monday, about what Victor's going to do. Caleb accepted the coffee, leaning against the counter. Tell me. He'll start with financials, look for any money trail between us that suggests payment for this arrangement. Then he'll interview people, your employees, my colleagues, neighbors, anyone who might contradict our timeline. So we need witnesses who'll back us up. Yes, but they have to be genuine. Victor's investigators are good. They'll spot coaching. Caleb thought about his workshop crew. My guys know I hired you for the office job. They saw us interact, but I can't ask them to lie. You don't have to. You just need them to remember it accurately. Iris set down her mug. When I came to your workshop, how did we act around each other? Professional, but you asked a lot of questions, stayed longer than most clients. My foreman, Marcus, made a comment after you left. Something about you being particular in a good way. And the follow-up visits? Caleb paused. What follow-up visits? Exactly. We need to create them retroactively in people's memories, not with lies, but with truth stretched at the edges. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her calendar. I came to the workshop twice more after the initial consultation, March 15th and April 3rd, both times legitimately checking on progress. But maybe those visits lasted longer than they needed to. Maybe we talked about more than just wood grain. Caleb saw where she was going. And maybe I walked you to your car both times, stood there talking a few extra minutes. Did you? He thought back. Actually, yeah. You asked about the wood's origin story, where the barn had been, who'd built it. We talked for maybe 10 minutes by your car. Then that's not a lie. That's a fact people can remember. Iris opened her notes app. We need to map out every real interaction we had. Then we build the emotional narrative around those facts. They spent the next hour reconstructing their timeline, finding the moments that could support a growing attraction. The conversation about sustainable materials. The time Caleb had shown her how to read wood grain. The afternoon she'd brought coffee for his whole crew and stayed to watch them work. This could actually work, Caleb said, looking at their timeline. It's not fake if it's built on real moments. It's still performance. Maybe. Or maybe we're just telling the story we didn't notice while it was happening. Iris met his eyes, something unreadable in her expression. Do you actually believe that? Before Caleb could answer, his phone rang. Linda's name flashed on the screen. It's my mother-in-law, he said. I have to take this. He stepped into the bedroom, closing the door. Linda, hey. Caleb Turner, what on earth is going on? Linda's voice carried the sharp concern of someone who'd raised her own children and helped raise Maya. Maya's been asking about you nonstop. She says you sounded weird on the phone yesterday, and you never ever ask me to keep her overnight without explanation. Caleb sat on the bed, rubbing his face. I know. I'm sorry, something came up. What kind of something? He took a breath. There was no avoiding this. I got married. Silence. Long enough that Caleb checked if the call had dropped. Linda? You got married. Her voice was flat, as in a wedding, a ceremony, a wife. Yes. When exactly did this happen? Yesterday, Friday morning. Another silence. Caleb, sweetheart, I love you like my own son, but have you lost your mind? Probably, he admitted, but it's complicated. Complicated how? Who is she? How long have you been seeing her? Why didn't you tell anyone? The questions came rapid fire, and Caleb felt the weight of deception pressing down. Her name is Iris Hale. She hired me for a project a few months ago. We've been seeing each other quietly since then. We didn't tell anyone because we wanted to be sure first. And you're sure now? After a few months? I'm sure I made the right choice for Maya and me. Linda's voice softened. Does this have anything to do with money? Because if you're struggling, you know I'd help. It's not just about money. It's about building something stable. Iris is a good person, Linda. She's smart and kind, and you married her in a courthouse without telling your daughter or anyone who loves you. The accusation landed hard. I know how it looks, Caleb said quietly, but I need you to trust me. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think it was right. Linda sighed deeply. I want to meet her, today, before you tell Maya. That's fair. Bring her to the house, 2 o'clock. I'll make lunch. Linda. 2 o'clock, Caleb. Don't make me wait. She hung up. Caleb returned to the kitchen where Iris was typing rapidly on her laptop. We have a command performance, he said. My mother-in-law wants to meet you, today at 2. Iris looked up. Your late wife's mother? Yeah. Linda Chen. She's been helping with Maya since Sarah died. She's protective, smart, and she's going to ask you 100 questions. Questions I need to answer correctly. Questions you need to answer honestly, Caleb corrected. Linda's got a radar for deception. If you try to perform for her, she'll know. Iris closed her laptop. Then we tell her the truth? A version of it. We tell her we've been seeing each other quietly, that we care about each other, that the marriage was fast but not reckless. And if she doesn't believe us? Then we're in trouble because Maya trusts Linda's judgment completely. Iris stood, pacing. How much does Linda know about your financial situation? Everything. She helped me manage bills after Sarah died. She knows the workshop struggles sometimes. So she'll suspect I'm providing financial relief. Probably. And she'll worry I'm taking advantage of you. Caleb almost laughed. Linda's more likely to worry I'm taking advantage of you. Why? Because she sees me as her daughter's widowed husband trying to survive. You're a successful executive. In her mind, you could do better. Iris stopped pacing. That's ridiculous. Is it? Caleb asked quietly. A wealthy CEO and a struggling carpenter? Most people would assume you're slumming or I'm gold digging. Most people don't know anything about real connection. The words came out harder than Iris intended. Caleb noticed. "You've thought about this," he said, "about what people will assume." "I've thought about everything." Iris returned to the table. "My entire life is people making assumptions. That I'm cold, calculating, that I only care about money and power. Maybe some of it's true, but not all of it." "What part isn't true?" She looked at him directly. "The part where I don't care about people. I care deeply. I just learned early that showing it makes you vulnerable, and vulnerable people lose." Caleb understood that logic. He'd lived a version of it himself. "Linda's going to see through both of us," he said. "Our best chance is to let her." "That's terrifying." "Yeah, but she's also the first real test. If we can convince her, we can convince anyone." Iris nodded slowly. "Then let's go meet your mother-in-law." The drive to Linda's house in Ballard took 20 minutes through Saturday morning traffic. Caleb drove his pickup truck, a 10-year-old Ford with sawdust in the seams and a booster seat in the back. Iris sat in the passenger seat, hands folded in her lap, watching Seattle slide past. "Tell me about Linda," she said. "What matters to her?" "Family, honesty. Maya, above everything else." Caleb navigated through a yellow light. "She's Chinese-American, second generation. Her parents owned a restaurant in Chinatown. She worked there growing up, met her husband in college. They had Sarah and 2 sons. Her husband died 8 years ago. Heart attack, same as my father-in-law. She's had her share of loss. More than her share, but she doesn't let it make her bitter. After Sarah died, Linda could have blamed me for not catching the cancer sooner, for not being enough. Instead, she stepped in, helped with Maya, made sure I didn't drown." Iris heard the love in his voice. "You're close." "She's family, the only parent I've got left." They pulled up to a modest craftsman-style house with a well-maintained garden. Wind chimes hung from the porch, and through the window Iris could see movement inside. "Ready?" Caleb asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." Linda Chen answered the door before they could knock. She was in her mid-60s, petite and sharp-eyed, wearing an apron that said "World's Best Grandma" in fading letters. She looked at Caleb with relief, then at Iris with undisguised assessment. "So you're Iris," Linda said. "Yes, ma'am. It's nice to meet you." "We'll see about that. Come in." The house smelled like ginger and garlic. Linda was cooking something that made Caleb's stomach remind him he'd barely eaten. Family photos covered the walls. Sarah as a child, Sarah and Caleb's wedding, Maya at various ages. Iris felt like she was walking into a shrine for the life she was trying to replace. "Sit," Linda said, gesturing to the kitchen table. "I made tea." They sat. Linda poured oolong tea into small cups with practiced efficiency, then settled across from them. "Caleb says you got married yesterday," Linda began without preamble. "Yes," Iris confirmed. "Why the rush?" Iris had prepared for this. "Because we realized we were wasting time being cautious. Life's too short to wait for the perfect moment." Poetic. Also convenient. Linda's gaze didn't waver. "How long have you known each other?" 5 months, give or take, since the office renovation project. "And you've been dating how long?" "We've been seeing each other for about 3 months, Caleb said, quietly. "We wanted to be sure before introducing Maya to the idea." Linda turned to him. "You've been dating for 3 months and didn't mention it once. Not during our Sunday dinners. Not when I asked if you were doing okay. Nothing." "I was protecting it," Caleb said honestly. "After Sarah, I didn't know if I should. I needed to figure it out first." "And you figured it out in time for a Friday courthouse wedding?" The skepticism was clear. Iris spoke up. "Mrs. Chen, I know this looks sudden. I know you're worried, but I want you to understand something. I'm not trying to replace Sarah. I couldn't if I wanted to. She's part of this family's foundation." Linda's expression flickered with something, surprise maybe. "But I can offer something different," Iris continued. "Stability, partnership, a chance for Caleb and Maya to build toward a future instead of just surviving the present." "You're offering money," Linda said bluntly. "I'm offering security. There's a difference." "Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like a business arrangement dressed up as a marriage." Caleb started to respond, but Iris put a hand on his arm, gentle, stopping him. "You're right to be suspicious," Iris said. "If I were you, I'd be asking the same questions. But here's what I know. Caleb is a good father, a good man. When I hired him, I saw how he treated his crew with respect and fairness, how he talked about his work with pride and integrity, how he mentioned his daughter with absolute devotion. She met Linda's eyes. I've spent my whole life around powerful people, Iris continued. CEOs, investors, executives. Most of them perform strength while hiding weakness. Caleb's the opposite. He's genuinely strong while pretending to be ordinary. That's rare. That's worth holding on to. The kitchen fell silent except for the tick of a wall clock. Linda studied Iris for a long moment. You love him? She asked. Iris didn't hesitate. I'm learning how. It was the most honest answer she could give. Linda shifted her gaze to Caleb. And you? You love her? Caleb thought about the past 2 days, the terror and the trust, the performance and the moments that had felt startlingly real. I respect her, he said carefully. I trust her. And I think we could build something good together. If that's not love yet, it's the foundation for it. Linda sat back, arms crossed. Maya's going to have questions, complicated ones. I know. She's going to worry that you're replacing her mother. I know that too. And if this doesn't work, if it falls apart, you're putting that child through another loss. Caleb's voice hardened slightly. I would never do anything to hurt Maya. This marriage is about protecting her future, not endangering it. Protecting her how? He glanced at Iris, who gave a small nod. Iris's company is going through some complicated transitions, Caleb explained. There were legal requirements around family structure that needed to be met quickly. I'm helping her meet those requirements. In return, she's providing my business with contracts that will stabilize our income for the next few years. Linda's eyes narrowed. So it is a business arrangement. It started that way, Caleb admitted, but it's becoming something else. In 2 days? In the moments that matter. Linda stood, walking to the stove where something was simmering. She stirred it slowly, her back to them. Sarah loved you so much, she said quietly. Did you know that? Even at the end, when the pain was unbearable, she'd talk about you, about how you'd take care of Maya, how you'd find a way. Caleb's throat tightened. She made me promise, Linda continued, that I'd help you, that I wouldn't let you drown in grief, that I'd make sure Maya grew up knowing love. She turned around, eyes glistening. I think Sarah would like Iris, Linda said. Not because Iris is like her, she's not, but because Sarah always believed good people should help each other. And I think that's what you're doing, in your strange, impulsive way. Iris felt unexpected tears threatening. But, Linda added, her voice firming, if you hurt that little girl, I will make your life very difficult, both of you. Understood? Understood, they said in unison. Linda smiled slightly. Good. Now come taste this soup and tell me if it needs more salt. Lunch was a surprisingly comfortable affair. Linda grilled Iris about her background, where she grew up, how she built her career, what she did for fun. The questions were probing but not hostile. Iris found herself answering more honestly than she'd planned. She talked about her distant father, her competitive stepbrother, the loneliness of corporate success. She didn't perform. She just talked. Linda listened with the attention of someone who'd spent years reading people. You're good at hiding your feelings, Linda observed over soup, but not as good as you think. Iris paused mid-bite. What do you mean? You're nervous. Really nervous. You keep twisting that ring. My daughter used to do the same thing with her wedding band when she was anxious. Iris looked down at her hand, caught. It's a beautiful ring, Linda added. Simple. Honest. It was Caleb's mother's, Iris said softly. Linda's expression shifted, surprise, then something like approval. He gave you his mother's ring? I told her I wanted something real, Caleb said. Not a performance piece. Smart man, Linda turned to Iris. His mother was a kind woman, struggled a lot, money was always tight, but she never let it make her cruel. She would have liked knowing her ring went to someone who appreciated it. I'll take care of it, Iris promised. I believe you will. As they were clearing dishes, Linda's phone buzzed. She checked it and smiled. Maya's asking when she can come home. I told her soon. She looked at Caleb. You need to tell her today, before she hears it from someone else. Caleb nodded. I know. Can you bring her by the apartment around 5? We'll be there. Linda hugged him tightly, then surprised Iris by hugging her too. Welcome to the family, such as it is. In the truck driving back, Caleb exhaled slowly. That went better than I expected, he said. She's perceptive. Terrifyingly so, but she's on our side now. That matters. Iris looked out the window. What do we tell Maya? The truth she can handle, that I met you through work, that we became friends, then more, that we decided to get married because we wanted to be a family. And when she asks why it happened so fast, we tell her that sometimes adults make quick decisions when they know something's right. Kids understand that better than we think. Do they? Caleb glanced at her. You're scared of meeting her. Terrified, Iris admitted. I don't know how to talk to children. I don't know what 9-year-olds care about. What if she hates me? She won't hate you. How can you be sure? Because Maya's like her mother. She reads people by their hearts, not their resumes. If you're genuine with her, she'll respond to that. Iris wanted to believe him. Back at the apartment, they had 2 hours before Maya arrived. Caleb suggested they use the time to make the space look more lived in, more like a place 2 people actually shared. Iris moved more of her things into visible places. A book on the nightstand, shoes by the door, her laptop on the kitchen counter, small signs of habitation. This feels like set dressing, she said. It is set dressing, but it's also life. People leave traces. At 4:47 p.m., Caleb's phone buzzed with a text from Linda. 10 minutes out. She's excited. Caleb's hands started to shake slightly. Iris noticed. You're nervous, she said. Maya's my whole world. If this doesn't go well, it will. How do you know? Iris surprised herself by taking his hand. Because you love her. That comes through in everything you do. She'll feel it. The knock came at exactly 5 o'clock. Caleb opened the door to find Maya, a small girl with dark hair and braids, Sarah's eyes, and curiosity written all over her face. Linda stood behind her, a hand on her shoulder. Dad! Maya launched herself at Caleb, who caught her in a tight hug. Hey, Butterfly, miss me? You were gone forever. Grandma Linda said you had something important to tell me. I do. Come inside. Maya entered, then stopped when she saw Iris standing in the kitchen. For a moment, the two just looked at each other, the girl who'd lost her mother, the woman trying not to replace her. Maya, Caleb said gently, this is Iris. She's someone very special to me. Maya tilted her head, assessing. Are you Dad's girlfriend? Iris knelt down to Maya's level. I'm actually his wife. We got married yesterday. The room went silent. Maya's eyes went wide. You got married? Like, for real married? For real married, Caleb confirmed. Maya looked between them, processing. But I didn't know you had a girlfriend. I know, I should have told you. I was trying to figure out how. And you got married without me? Her voice cracked slightly. I wasn't even there? Caleb's heart broke. I'm sorry, Butterfly. It happened really fast. Too fast. But that doesn't mean you're not important. You're the most important person in my world. Maya's eyes were filling with tears. Are you replacing Mom? No. Never. No one could ever replace your mom. Then why did you get married? It was Iris who answered. Because your dad is one of the best people I've ever met, she said softly. And I wanted to be part of his life. Part of your life, if you'll let me. Maya wiped her eyes. What if I don't want you to be part of my life? The question was small but devastating. Iris nodded slowly. Then that's okay too. I'm not here to force anything. I'm just here to try. Try what? To be helpful, to be kind, to learn what you need and see if I can provide it. Maya studied her with unsettling intensity. Do you love my dad? Iris met the girl's gaze honestly. I'm learning to. Is that okay? I don't know yet. It was a fair answer. Linda stepped forward. Maya, honey, why don't we give your dad and Iris a few minutes? You and I can go get ice cream and then we'll come back for dinner. Maya hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but I want chocolate chip. You got it. As they were leaving, Maya paused at the door and looked back at Iris. "Do you like books?" she asked. "I do, fantasy especially." "Me too. We can talk about that maybe, later." Then she was gone, leaving Caleb and Iris standing in the sudden silence. Caleb sank onto the couch, head in his hands. That was brutal. Iris sat beside him. "She's protecting herself. It's smart." She asked if I was replacing her mother. "How do I come back from that?" "By showing her you're not. Consistently. Over time." Iris touched his shoulder. "She didn't say no, Caleb. She said she doesn't know yet. That means there's room." He looked at her. "You were good with her. Natural." I was terrified. "Didn't show." They sat together, processing what had just happened. The first real test with Maya, and it had been complicated. Not good, not bad, just real. Caleb's phone buzzed with an email notification. He glanced at it, and his expression darkened. "What now?" Iris asked. He showed her the screen. An email from Victor Hale's attorney, time-stamped 5:14 p.m. "Mr. Turner, as part of our investigation into the validity of your marriage to Mrs. Iris Hale, we request your presence for a deposition on Monday, January 26th at 9 a.m. Please bring all financial records, communications with Ms. Hale, and documentation supporting your relationship timeline. Failure to comply will be noted in our report to the trust administrators. Regards, Mitchell and Associates." Iris read it twice. They're moving fast. "What's a deposition?" "Legal testimony under oath. They'll ask you questions, and you have to answer truthfully. Lying is perjury." Caleb felt the walls closing in. "They're going to tear us apart." "Only if we let them." Iris stood, pacing. "We need to prepare. Practice every possible question they might ask. Make sure our stories align perfectly. And if they catch us in a contradiction, they won't. Because we're going to tell the truth, just the truth we choose to emphasize." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Patricia. We need a lawyer present during your deposition, and we need to understand what they can and can't ask." While Iris talked to her attorney, Caleb walked to the window. Below, the city carried on, people living normal Saturday evenings, unaware that his entire world was balancing on the edge of a lie that was slowly becoming truth. His phone rang. Marcus, his workshop foreman. "Boss, we got a problem." Caleb's stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "Somebody came by the shop this morning, said they were doing a routine inspection for code compliance, took photos of everything, asked me and the guys a bunch of questions about you." "What kind of questions?" "About your finances, whether you seemed stressed about money, if you'd mentioned any unusual opportunities recently." Marcus paused. "I didn't like the vibe, so I told them to talk to you directly." "But boss, what's going on?" Caleb closed his eyes. "It's complicated, but I need you to do something for me." "Name it." "If anyone else comes around asking questions, tell them the truth, but only the truth you actually know. Don't speculate. Don't guess. Just facts." You in trouble?" "I'm in something. I'll explain Monday. Just trust me for now." "Always have, boss." After hanging up, Caleb turned to find Iris watching him. "They're investigating my crew," he said. "I expected that. Victor's thorough." She set down her phone. "Patricia says we need to meet tomorrow, Sunday morning. Prep session for the deposition. She'll be there with us through the whole thing Monday." "What about Maya?" "Linda can keep her. This is going to be intense." Caleb nodded, feeling the weight of everything compressing down. "How did your life get this complicated?" "I was born into it," Iris said. "But you got dragged in by helping me. I chose to help." "You chose without knowing what it would cost." He crossed to her. "Hey, I'm not backing out. I said I'd do this and I will. Turner Woodworks might be small, but we finish what we start." Iris felt something shift in her chest. Gratitude, maybe, or recognition that this man was nothing like the people in her world. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Don't thank me yet. Monday could still blow up in our faces." At 6:30, Linda and Maya returned with takeout Chinese food and a careful truce. Maya was quieter than usual, watching Iris from the corners of her eyes while they ate. Iris tried to act normal, passing dishes, asking gentle questions about school, not pushing too hard. "What are you reading?" Iris asked at one point. Maya held up a battered paperback. "The Last Unicorn. It's old, but Grandma Linda gave it to me. It was my mom's." "I read that when I was about your age," Iris said. "The unicorn's brave." "She's lonely too," Maya said pointedly. "She is, until she finds people worth caring about." Maya considered this. "Did you find people worth caring about?" Iris glanced at Caleb. "I think I'm starting to." After dinner, Linda took Maya home with promises to return her tomorrow. At the door, Maya surprised everyone by hugging Caleb tightly. "I love you, Dad," she whispered. "I love you too, Butterfly. Always." Then Maya looked at Iris. "You can stay, for now." It was the smallest olive branch, but it mattered. After they left, the apartment felt too quiet. Caleb and Iris cleaned up in silence, both processing the emotional weight of the day. "She's testing you," Caleb said finally, "seeing if you'll stick around when things get hard." "I noticed." "And?" "I'm not going anywhere," Iris said firmly. "I made a commitment. I keep my commitments." "Even when they're complicated?" "Especially then." They finished cleaning, then sat at the kitchen table with coffee neither of them wanted but needed something to hold. "Tell me about Monday," Caleb said. "What's going to happen?" Iris pulled out her notes. "Victor's attorney will ask about our relationship timeline, how we met, when we started dating, why we married so quickly. They'll look for inconsistencies between your answers and mine." "So we need identical stories." "No, we need compatible stories. Identical sounds rehearsed. Compatible sounds like two people remembering the same events from different perspectives." "Example?" "When did you know you had feelings for me?" You might say during the renovation project. I might say after it finished, when you followed up with maintenance questions. Both true. Both consistent. But different enough to sound genuine. Caleb nodded slowly. "And the money questions?" "They'll ask if I'm paying you, if we have a prenup, what financial arrangements exist between us." "The workshop contracts are real," Caleb said. "Market rate, negotiated through your procurement department. That's documented." "Good. They can't claim fraud if the work is legitimate." "What about the rest? The timing, the courthouse wedding?" Iris met his eyes. "We tell them we're private people who didn't want a big production, that the trust deadline created urgency, but the feelings were already there. We just made it official faster than planned." "And if they ask why you chose me specifically?" "Because you're honest. Because I trust you. Because in a world of people looking for advantage, you just wanted to do good work." It was true enough to sound real. They practiced for hours. Questions and answers, tone and body language, the small details that would sell the narrative. By midnight, they were exhausted. "One more," Iris said. "The hardest one. Do you love your wife?" Caleb looked at her across the table. This woman who'd entered his life like a storm, who was trusting him with her entire future, who was trying so hard to be good to his daughter despite having no blueprint for it. "I'm getting there," he said honestly. Iris felt her breath catch. "That's a good answer. Is it true?" She thought about the question, really thought about it. "I don't know," she admitted. "I'm not sure I know what love looks like anymore. But I know I don't want to do this with anyone else." It wasn't a declaration, but it was honest. And in that moment, honesty felt like enough. They went to bed in their separate spaces, but the walls between them felt thinner than before. Sunday morning brought rain and anxiety in equal measure. Patricia Chen, Linda's niece and Iris's attorney, arrived at 9 with 3 briefcases and the determined expression of someone preparing for war. "All right," she said, spreading documents across Caleb's kitchen table. "Let's make sure Monday doesn't destroy you both." They spent 6 hours going through every possible question, every potential trap, every way Victor's team might try to break their story. Patricia was merciless. "Mr. Turner, when exactly did you and Miss Hale begin a sexual relationship?" Caleb flinched. "Do they actually ask that?" "They absolutely ask that." "Answer." "We haven't. We're taking things slowly because of Maya." Patricia shook her head. "Wrong. That sounds suspicious. Try. Our physical relationship is private and not relevant to the validity of our marriage. They practiced deflection, boundaries, when to answer, and when to defer to counsel. Remember, Patricia said, you don't have to answer everything, but refusing to answer can look suspicious too. Find the balance. By mid-afternoon, Caleb's head was spinning. Break, Iris called. We need food and air. They walked to a nearby sandwich shop, grateful for the rain that kept them moving and awake. How do you live like this? Caleb asked as they ate. This constant scrutiny, this performance? You get used to it, Iris said. You build walls, learn what to show and what to hide. Eventually, it becomes automatic. That sounds exhausting. It is. She took a bite of her sandwich. But the alternative is being vulnerable. And in my world, vulnerable people get eaten alive. Not in mine, Caleb said. In my world, vulnerable people get help, community, support. Must be nice? It is. Usually. He looked at her. You could have that too, you know, if you let people in. I'm letting you in. Are you? Or are you just performing for a different audience? The question hit harder than intended. Iris set down her sandwich. I don't know anymore. The performance and the reality have blurred so much I can't tell the difference. Then maybe Monday's not about convincing Victor, Caleb said. Maybe it's about convincing yourself. Of what? That this could be real, if we wanted it to be. Iris met his eyes, and for a moment the walls came down. I'm scared, she whispered. Of Victor. Of wanting this. Of it becoming real and then losing it anyway. Caleb reached across the table, taking her hand. I can't promise you won't lose it. I can't promise anything except that I'm here now, and I'll keep showing up. Why? Because you showed up when you were terrified, when you had nowhere else to go. You trusted me with your whole future. That means something. Iris squeezed his hand. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. Yeah. And we might lose anyway. Probably. So why does this feel worth it? Caleb smiled slightly. Because sometimes the fights worth losing are the ones that change you. They returned to the apartment and Patricia put them through 3 more hours of prep. By the time she left at 8 p.m., both Caleb and Iris were mentally fried. Get some sleep, Patricia advised. Tomorrow starts at 7. We meet at my office, review one final time, then head to the deposition at 8:30. After she left, Caleb and Iris stood in the quiet apartment. I should try to sleep, Iris said. Yeah, me too. Neither moved. Finally, Caleb spoke. Hey, whatever happens tomorrow, thank you for trusting me with this. I know you didn't have a lot of options, but you could have chosen someone else. Someone more polished. I chose you because you're real, Iris said. That matters more than polish. She crossed to him and did something surprising. She hugged him. Just a simple embrace, 2 people holding on to something fragile. Caleb hugged her back. We've got this, he murmured. Promise? No, but I'm going to fight like hell anyway. That night, neither slept much. Caleb lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about depositions and daughters and women who crashed into his life with desperate offers. Iris lay in his bed wearing his t-shirt, thinking about corporate warfare and carpenters who gave away their mother's rings. At 2:47 a.m., they both gave up on sleep and met in the kitchen. Couldn't sleep either? Caleb asked. Too much in my head. He made chamomile tea. They sat in the dark, drinking in silence. When this is over, Iris said quietly, and we've either won or lost, what happens to us? What do you want to happen? I don't know. I've spent so much energy fighting for the company, I haven't thought about what comes after. Maybe that's the problem, Caleb said. You're so focused on winning the war, you forgot to think about what you're actually fighting for. The company is what I'm fighting for. Is it? Or is it proving something to a dead man who'll never see it? Iris flinched. That's harsh. It's true. She stared into her tea. Maybe. Maybe I've been fighting for approval I'll never get, but I don't know what else to fight for. Fight for you, Caleb said simply, for the life you actually want, not the one you think you should have. And what if I don't know what I want? Then figure it out. starting with tomorrow. Iris looked at him in the dim kitchen light. This man who spoke in simple truths that cut through her complicated defenses. I'm glad I knocked on your door, she said, even though it's been chaos. Especially because it's been chaos. I needed someone who wouldn't let me hide. Caleb smiled. Then you definitely chose the right carpenter. They finished their tea and returned to bed. This time, sleep came easier. Monday was waiting, and with it, the fight that would determine everything. But tonight, in the quiet dark, they'd found something worth protecting. Each other. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and the weight of everything unsaid. Caleb stood in front of the bathroom mirror at 5:30, trying to knot a tie he hadn't worn since Sarah's funeral. His hands kept fumbling the Windsor knot, muscle memory failing him when he needed it most. Iris appeared in the doorway, already dressed in a charcoal suit that transformed her back into the executive he'd first met. She watched him struggle for a moment, then stepped forward. "Let me," she said quietly. Her fingers worked the silk with practiced efficiency, and Caleb found himself watching her face instead of her hands. She looked tired, shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide, but determined, focused. "There," she said, adjusting the knot. "You look professional." "I look like I'm going to a funeral." "You're going to a deposition. It's basically the same thing." The attempt at humor fell flat, but Caleb appreciated the effort. They drove to Patricia's office in silence, the city waking up around them in shades of concrete and coffee shop lights. Seattle traffic crawled, giving them too much time to think. Patricia met them in her conference room with coffee that tasted like determination and anxiety. The space was all glass and polished wood, designed to project confidence. Caleb felt out of place immediately. "Final review," Patricia said, spreading documents across the table. "The deposition will be recorded. Victor's attorney is Mitchell Garrison. He's expensive, thorough, and extremely good at finding inconsistencies. Don't let him rattle you." "What's his angle going to be?" Iris asked. "Financial motivation, primarily. He'll try to prove Caleb married you for money, that you paid him, that this is fraud designed to circumvent the trust clause." Caleb shifted uncomfortably. "But the workshop contracts are legitimate." "They are, which is why he'll focus on timing. Why those contracts were signed immediately after the marriage. Why the amounts are so generous. Why you specifically, when Iris could have hired any contractor in Seattle." "Because I do good work," Caleb said. "That's the answer. Hold on to it." Patricia turned to Iris. "He's also going to attack your judgment, suggest you're emotionally unstable after your father's death, that you made a rash decision under duress." Iris's jaw tightened. "I'm not unstable." "I know, but he'll try to paint it that way. Stay calm. Don't take the bait." They reviewed their timeline one more time, walking through every detail until the words felt automatic. First meeting, coffee conversations, the gradual shift from professional to personal. The decision to keep it private. The courthouse wedding driven by the trust deadline, but rooted in genuine feeling. It was a good story. It was mostly true. The question was whether it would be enough. At 8:15, they walked 3 blocks to the offices of Mitchell and Associates. The building was modern steel and glass, the kind of architecture designed to intimidate. Inside, everything was cream-colored marble and hushed efficiency. Mitchell Garrison met them in the lobby. He was in his late 50s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Caleb's truck. His smile was professional and cold. "Ms. Hale, Mr. Turner, thank you for coming." He shook their hands with the grip of someone assessing grip strength. "We'll try to keep this as painless as possible." "I'm sure you will," Patricia said dryly. They were led to a conference room where a court reporter sat ready, fingers poised over a stenography machine. The room smelled like expensive leather and conflict. Victor Hale was already there. Caleb recognized him from photos Iris had shown him. Tall, polished, with their father's features, but none of Iris's warmth. He wore a navy suit and an expression of mild amusement, like he'd already won and was just here to watch the formalities. "Iris," Victor said warmly, "you look well. Marriage agrees with you." "Victor." Her voice was ice. Victor's gaze shifted to Caleb. "And you must be the carpenter. I've heard so much about you." "I doubt that," Caleb said evenly. Victor's smile widened. "Let's begin, shall we?" Mitchell gestured for Caleb to sit at the head of the table. The court reporter prepared to transcribe. Patricia sat beside Caleb, her presence a shield. "Please state your full name for the record," Mitchell began. "Caleb James Turner." "And your occupation?" "Owner and operator of Turner Woodworks." "A carpentry business?" "Custom furniture and renovation work, yes." Mitchell nodded, making notes. "Mr. Turner, how long have you been in business?" 8 years. I took over the workshop from my mentor when he retired." "And your annual revenue?" Caleb glanced at Patricia, who nodded slightly. "It varies. Last year was about $220,000 gross. After expenses, materials, payroll, I cleared maybe 60. $60,000 for a year's work. That must be difficult." "It's enough." "Is it? You're a single father, raising a daughter alone. Medical bills from your late wife's illness. I imagine 60,000 doesn't go very far." Caleb's hands tightened in his lap. "We manage." "Do you?" "Because according to public records, you're 3 months behind on your commercial lease. Your business credit line is maxed out, and you owe approximately $48,000 in medical debt from your wife's treatment." The numbers landed like punches. Caleb felt exposed, his financial struggles laid bare in front of strangers. "Those debts exist," he said carefully. "I'm working on them." "By marrying a woman worth $200 million? "Objection," Patricia interjected. "Argumentative and assumes facts not in evidence." Mitchell smiled. "Let me rephrase. Mr. Turner, what is your wife's net worth?" "I don't know exactly. We haven't discussed it." "You married someone without knowing their financial situation?" "I married someone because I care about them. Their bank account wasn't part of the equation." "Really? Because you signed employment contracts with Hale Innovations worth $300,000 the same day you filed your marriage certificate. That seems like quite the coincidence." Caleb met Mitchell's gaze steadily. "Iris needed renovation work done on several company properties. I bid for the contracts. My prices were competitive and fair. Her procurement department approved them. That's business, not bribery. Business that materialized hours after you became her husband. Business that was already being discussed. The marriage formalized our relationship. It didn't create a financial obligation." Mitchell leaned back, studying Caleb. "Tell me about how you met Iris Hale." Caleb launched into their prepared narrative. "The office renovation project. Iris's attention to detail, her questions about craft and materials, the professional relationship that extended into occasional coffee meetings." "And when did these coffee meetings become romantic?" Mitchell asked. "There wasn't a specific moment. It was gradual. We talk about work, then life, then deeper things. By late March, I realized I was looking forward to seeing her, not just as a client." "Late March. That's convenient since the office project finished in early March." "It's honest. The timeline matches reality." Mitchell pulled out a document. "According to your phone records, you and Ms. Hale exchanged exactly 7 text messages between March 1st and June 15th. 7 messages in 3.5 months. Does that sound like a developing romance to you?" Caleb felt sweat on his neck but kept his voice steady. "We're both private people. We preferred meeting in person to texting. And yet there's no record of you being seen together during that period. No restaurant receipts, no witness accounts, nothing. We met at her office sometimes, or at quiet coffee shops. We weren't trying to be seen. Or you weren't actually meeting at all." Patricia cut in. "Are you asking a question or making an accusation?" Mitchell shifted tactics. "Mr. Turner, when did Mrs. Hale first mention the trust clause to you?" This was dangerous ground. Caleb chose his words carefully. "The Thursday before we married. She explained her situation, the deadline, the risk to her company. And she asked you to marry her. She asked if I'd be willing to help. By committing fraud against a family trust? By entering a legal marriage. There's no fraud in that." "Isn't there? You're testifying under oath, Mr. Turner. Did you marry Iris Hale because you loved her, or because she offered you financial relief?" Caleb looked at Iris across the room. Her expression was carefully neutral, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. "I married her because she needed help, and I could provide it," Caleb said honestly. "Because I respected her and believed we could build something real together. The financial contracts were separate, legitimate business arrangements. Business arrangements that conveniently stabilize your failing company. Business arrangements that compensate good work at fair rates. Mitchell made more notes, then turned to Iris. Ms. Hale, you're next. They switched positions. Caleb sat beside Patricia while Iris took the witness chair. She looked completely composed, but Caleb noticed her fingers found the ring on her left hand, his mother's ring, and held it like an anchor. State your full name for the record, Mitchell began. Iris Catherine Hale. And your position? CEO of Hale Innovations. A position you inherited upon your father's death 18 months ago, correct? A position I earned through 15 years of work at the company. My father's death formalized what was already functionally true. Mitchell's eyebrow raised. Your stepbrother would dispute that characterization. My stepbrother disputes many things. That doesn't make him right. Let's talk about your father's trust. Were you aware of the marriage clause before Victor brought it to your attention? Iris hesitated fractionally. No, my father's estate documents were extensive. I was still working through them. So, Victor discovered a clause that you, as the primary beneficiary, had overlooked. He discovered a clause buried in subsection language designed to be overlooked. It was a trap. A trap your father set? A vulnerability Victor exploited. Mitchell leaned forward. Ms. Hale, do you believe your father wanted you to be married? I believe my father had traditional views about family structure, but I also believe he trusted my judgment. Did he? Because according to colleagues, your father frequently expressed concern about your focus on career over personal life. He wanted grandchildren, a son-in-law to help run the company. Instead, he got a daughter who prioritized business. Iris's voice went cold. My father got a daughter who tripled company revenue and expanded into 3 new markets. What he wanted personally is irrelevant to what he valued professionally. Is it? Because the trust clause suggests he valued marriage enough to make it a condition of inheritance. The trust clause is a legal technicality, one you violated by arranging a sham marriage. Patricia stood. That's inflammatory and unsupported by evidence. Mitchell nodded. Let me ask directly then, Ms. Hale, is your marriage to Caleb Turner genuine, or is it a legal maneuver to maintain control of your company? Iris met his gaze without flinching. My marriage is legally valid and personally meaningful. The timing was accelerated by circumstances, but the foundation is real. What foundation? You've known each other 5 months. You've been romantically involved for, according to your testimony, approximately 3 months. You got married in a courthouse with no family present. Where exactly is the foundation? In trust. In respect. In recognizing someone worth building a future with. Worth $200 million? Worth the risk of vulnerability, Iris shot back, something you clearly don't understand. Mitchell smiled like he'd scored a point. Ms. Hale, did you pay Caleb Turner to marry you? No. Did you offer him financial incentives? I offered his business legitimate contracts for work I needed done. That's called commerce. $300,000 worth of commerce signed within hours of your marriage. Work that required immediate attention. Timing was coincidental. Was it? Because it looks like payment for services rendered, the service being a marriage certificate. Iris's hands clenched. If you're suggesting I bought my husband, you're mistaken. Caleb Turner is not for sale. He's a man of integrity who agreed to help someone in a difficult situation. A difficult situation that benefited him considerably. A difficult situation we're navigating together. That's what marriage is, partnership through difficulty. Mitchell consulted his notes. Let's discuss your relationship history. You've never been married before, correct? Correct? Never engaged? No. In fact, according to people who know you, you've rarely dated seriously at all. Your focus has always been the company. So why suddenly, at 32, did you decide marriage was important? Because I met someone who made me reconsider my priorities? Or because a legal deadline forced your hand? The deadline accelerated the timeline. It didn't create the feeling. What feeling is that exactly? Iris paused, and in that pause, Caleb saw her wane performance against truth. The feeling of not wanting to face things alone anymore, she said quietly. Of finding someone steady enough to trust. of believing partnership might be possible. It was the most honest thing she'd said all morning. Mitchell seemed to sense it too because he shifted approaches. Ms. Hale, if the trust clause didn't exist, would you have married Caleb Turner? The question hung in the air like smoke. Iris looked at Caleb. Their eyes met across the conference room, and in that moment, everything else fell away. The lawyers, the recording equipment, Victor's smug expression, it all faded into background noise. I don't know, Iris said finally. Maybe not this quickly. Maybe not at a courthouse. But eventually, yes, I believe I would have. It wasn't the answer Mitchell wanted. It was too nuanced, too human. He tried several more approaches, attacking the timeline, questioning the legitimacy of their cohabitation, suggesting Iris's judgment was impaired by grief. But Iris held firm, deflecting without defensiveness, acknowledging truth without conceding fraud. By noon, Mitchell called for a break. Outside the conference room, Caleb found Iris in the hallway, staring out a window at Seattle's skyline. You okay? He asked. I hate this, the scrutiny, the implication that everything I do is calculated. Is it? She turned. Is what? Calculated, everything you do. Iris considered the question. I used to think so. I used to pride myself on it, being strategic, always 3 steps ahead. But lately, she trailed off. Lately what? Lately I'm not sure anymore. You make me less calculated, more impulsive. It's terrifying. Caleb stepped closer. Maybe terrifying isn't always bad. Before Iris could respond, Patricia appeared. They're ready to resume, and Victor wants to testify. Back in the conference room, Victor took the witness chair with the confidence of someone who'd been preparing for this moment for months. State your relationship to Iris Hale, Mitchell began. I'm her stepbrother. Our father married her mother when I was 15. And your relationship with your father? Close. I worked alongside him for 20 years, learning the business from the ground up. He trusted me with operational decisions, strategic planning. He groomed me to take over. But he left controlling shares to Iris instead. Victor's smile was tight. He did. I was surprised, but I respected his decision. Family is family. Even when you disagree with their choices? Especially then. Mitchell consulted his notes. Mr. Hale, when did you first learn about Iris's marriage? Saturday morning, I received the trust administrator's notification. I was shocked. Why shocked? Because Iris had never mentioned dating anyone, never brought anyone to family events or company functions. Then suddenly she's married to a carpenter she allegedly met months ago? It didn't add up. What did you do? I requested an investigation. If my sister's marriage is genuine, then I owe her an apology and congratulations. But if it's fraud designed to circumvent our father's wishes, then I have an obligation to protect his legacy. The performance was masterful, concern wrapped in family loyalty. Caleb wanted to punch him. Have you found evidence of fraud? Mitchell asked. I've found concerning patterns. Financial contracts signed immediately post-marriage. No prior evidence of a relationship. A groom with significant debt. A bride with significant assets. The timeline is suspicious at best. What do you believe actually happened? Victor looked directly at Iris. I believe my sister panicked when she discovered the trust clause. I believe she found someone desperate enough to participate in a sham marriage. And I believe she's now scrambling to make it look legitimate before the truth emerges. Objection, Patricia said sharply. Speculation and character assassination. It's my honest assessment, Victor said smoothly. Mitchell nodded. Mr. Hale, if this marriage is found to be fraudulent, what happens? Control of Hale Innovations transfers to me, as outlined in the trust. I would assume CEO responsibilities immediately. And Iris? Would remain a shareholder but lose operational authority. It's what our father intended if she remained unmarried. Iris stood abruptly. That's bullshit, and you know it. Patricia grabbed her arm. Don't. But Iris pulled free, stepping forward. Our father never intended for you to take over. He left you a VP position and a generous trust fund because he knew your limitations. You're competent at operations, but terrible at vision. You'd run the company into the ground within 5 years. Victor's mask slipped slightly. Sit down, Iris. You're not angry about the trust clause. You're angry I'm better at this than you, that I always have been. This isn't about protecting Dad's legacy. It's about your ego. This is about fraud. This is about you manipulating legal technicalities because you can't compete legitimately. Mitchell tried to intervene. Ms. Hale, please. But Iris was done performing. You want to know why I married Caleb? Because he's the first person in years who didn't want something from me, who helped without an agenda, who saw me as a person instead of a position. That's worth more than any prenup or timeline or witness testimony. Victor stood, his face flushed. You married a stranger to spite me. I married someone who reminded me what integrity looks like, something you've never understood. The room fell silent except for the court reporter's keys clicking. Patricia pulled Iris back. We're taking a recess. Now. In the hallway, Patricia cornered both of them. What the hell was that? You just handed Victor ammunition. He was lying, Iris said. Of course he was lying. That's what he does. And you let him get under your skin. Caleb touched Iris's shoulder. Hey, breathe. She was shaking, rage or fear or both. I can't do this. I can't sit there and let him rewrite history. You don't have to rewrite it back, Caleb said quietly. You just have to tell the truth. The truth is messy. Good. Messy is human. Messy is believable. Patricia checked her watch. We have 10 minutes. Get it together, both of you. Caleb pulled Iris aside, away from Patricia's intensity. Listen to me. Victor wins if you lose control. Stay calm. Stay honest. Let him overplay his hand. And if that's not enough, then we lose. But we lose with integrity intact. That matters. Iris looked at him, really looked, and felt something shift. This man who had nothing to gain from her except trouble was standing here telling her integrity mattered more than winning. How are you real? She whispered. I'm too tired to be anything else. They returned to the conference room. Mitchell resumed his questioning, working through witness statements from Caleb's employees, timeline discrepancies, financial records. But something had changed. Iris answered calmly now, acknowledging uncertainties instead of defending positions. Caleb matched her tone, honest about his debts and his motivations, and his hope that something real might emerge from desperate circumstances. By 3 o'clock, Mitchell was running out of ammunition. Final question, he said, looking between them. If the court finds your marriage invalid, will you stay together? Caleb and Iris exchanged glances. Yes, Caleb said. Why? Mitchell pressed. Because the marriage certificate isn't what makes it real. What makes it real is showing up every day, trying, building something together. We'll keep doing that whether you recognize it or not. Mitchell closed his folder. That concludes the deposition. We'll submit our findings to the trust administrators by end of week. Victor stood, straightening his suit. Iris, this didn't have to be adversarial. Yes, it did, she said tiredly. You've been waiting for this fight since Dad died. I've been waiting for you to fail. There's a difference. He left without another word. In the elevator down, the three of them stood in exhausted silence. How bad? Iris finally asked. Patricia sighed. Hard to say. You both did well overall. The emotional outburst was risky, but it also showed genuine feeling. Victor's testimony was polished, but came across as vindictive. It'll come down to whether the administrators believe your marriage is legitimate. And if they don't, then we go to court, challenge their findings, drag this out. How long could that take? Months, maybe a year. Iris closed her eyes. I can't do this for a year. Then hope the administrators see reason, Patricia said. Outside, rain had started falling. Caleb and Iris stood under the building's overhang while Patricia hailed a cab. I'm sorry, Iris said quietly. For what? For dragging you into this. For subjecting you to interrogation. For... Stop. Caleb turned her to face him. I knew what I was signing up for. Well, mostly. And I'd do it again. Why? Because you're worth fighting for, even when you don't believe it yourself. Iris felt tears threatening, the second time in 2 days, which was unprecedented. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. How to be vulnerable, how to need someone. You're doing it right now. It feels like falling. Maybe that's what it's supposed to feel like. Patricia's cab arrived. She gave them both fierce hugs. Go home, rest. I'll call when I know something. The drive back to Caleb's apartment felt surreal. They'd survived the deposition, but the outcome remained uncertain. Everything hung in balance. At a stoplight, Caleb's phone rang. Marcus. Boss, we got a problem at the shop. Caleb's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Someone broke in last night, smashed equipment, poured paint thinner on half our lumber stock. It's bad. The light turned green, but Caleb didn't move. Behind him, horns honked. How bad? He managed. 20, maybe 30,000 in damage. And that's just what I can see so far. Iris watched Caleb's face drain of color. What happened? He didn't answer, just drove. They arrived at Turner Woodworks 15 minutes later. The scene was worse than Marcus had described. Windows smashed, tools scattered, beautiful hardwood ruined by chemicals. The workshop Caleb had built over 8 years looked like a war zone. Marcus met them at the door, expression grim. Police already came, took statements, said it looks like vandalism, but they don't have leads. Caleb walked through the destruction in silence. Each damaged piece represented hours of work, careful investment, dreams of what could be built. Iris followed, her mind racing. This was Victor. You don't know that, Marcus said. I know him. This is retaliation for the deposition. He's showing Caleb what happens when you stand against him. Caleb picked up a shattered chisel, one his mentor had given him years ago. He can't prove it was Victor. He doesn't need to. The message is clear. Marcus looked between them, confused. What message? What's going on? Caleb set down the chisel. I need everyone out. Now. I'll explain later. The crew filtered out, shooting worried glances back. When they were alone, Iris pulled out her phone. I'm calling Patricia. This is intimidation. Destruction of property. We can't prove anything, Caleb said flatly. And even if we could, it doesn't change this. He gestured at the ruins. My workshop is destroyed. Insurance might cover some, but the deductible alone is 10 grand. Money I don't have. I'll pay for it. No. Caleb, I said no. His voice was sharp. This is exactly what Victor wants. Me dependent on you. Proof that our marriage is transactional. Who cares what it looks like? Your livelihood is, I care. He turned on her. I care that I've dragged my business, my reputation, my whole life into your corporate war. I care that people who depend on me for jobs are now at risk. I care that my daughter might hear about this and worry. Iris stepped back, stung. Caleb ran a hand through his hair. I'm sorry. That wasn't fair. It was honest. Yeah. Too honest, maybe. They stood in the wreckage, the weight of everything pressing down. What do we do? Iris asked quietly. Caleb looked around his destroyed workshop, the dream he'd built from nothing, now scattered across paint-stained concrete. We rebuild, he said finally. It's what I do. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Iris pulled out her phone again. I'm hiring a security company, 24-hour monitoring, cameras, whatever it takes to make sure this doesn't happen again. It's not up for debate. I got you into this. I'm protecting what's mine. You're what? She met his eyes. You, this, all of it. Victor wants a war? He's got one. But he's not destroying the people She stopped. People you what? People I care about, Iris finished quietly. Caleb felt something crack open in his chest. Yeah. He crossed to her, taking her hands. We're going to survive this. The deposition, the investigation, the vandalism, all of it. How are you so sure? Because we're still standing. That's how you win. You just keep standing. Iris leaned into him, forehead against his chest. I'm tired of standing. Then lean. That's what I'm here for. They stood like that in the destroyed workshop, holding each other up while chaos surrounded them. Caleb's phone buzzed, a text from Linda. Maya's asking about you. Everything okay? He typed back, workshop trouble, nothing for her to worry about? Can she stay one more night? Linda's response came fast. Always. But Caleb, Be careful. He pocketed the phone. I need to clean up what I can, salvage anything usable. I'll help. You don't have to. I want to. So they worked side by side, sorting damaged wood from salvageable pieces, sweeping glass, cataloging losses for insurance. It was methodical, physical labor that gave their racing minds something to focus on. Around 7, Marcus returned with the rest of the crew. We're helping, he announced. No arguments. Together, they worked until midnight, transforming chaos into something manageable. Not fixed. It would take weeks to fully recover, but functional enough to restart. As the crew headed home, Marcus pulled Caleb aside. Boss, I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, we've got your back. I know. Thanks, Marcus. And for what it's worth? She's good people. He nodded toward Iris, who was sweeping in the corner with fierce determination. Anybody who works that hard in heels is worth keeping around. Caleb smiled despite everything. Yeah, she is. When they finally left the workshop, Caleb's truck wouldn't start. Dead battery, probably from the stress of sitting while they worked. Perfect, he muttered. Iris called a rideshare. They sat in the back seat, filthy and exhausted, watching Seattle blur past in streaks of neon and rain. Thank you, Caleb said quietly. For what? For staying, for helping, for not running when things got hard. Where would I run to? Your house, your world, away from all this mess. Iris took his hand. This mess is my life now. I'm not running from my own life. Back at the apartment, they showered in shifts and ate leftover pizza cold because neither had the energy to heat it. They sat on the couch in comfortable silence, too tired for conversation. Caleb's phone lit up with an email notification. From the Trust Administration Office. Subject, Investigation Update. He opened it with shaking hands. Mr. Turner and Mrs. Hale, our investigation into the validity of your marriage is ongoing. We have reviewed deposition testimony, financial records, and witness statements. A final determination will be made by Friday, January 30th. You will be notified of our decision at that time. Until then, current arrangements remain in effect. Regards, Trust Administration. 4 more days of uncertainty. Caleb showed Iris the email. She read it without expression. Friday, she said. 4 days. And then we know. They sat with that reality. 4 days until everything either solidified or shattered. I should go to my house, Iris said suddenly. Make it look lived in case they send investigators. Now? It's almost 1 a.m. I know, but if they're watching, inconsistencies in our living situation could be damning. Caleb understood the logic, but hated it. I'll come with you. You don't have to We're married. We should be in the same house. That's the whole point. So they packed overnight bags and drove to Iris's house in Madison Park, a modern masterpiece of glass and steel overlooking Lake Washington, the kind of house that appeared in architecture magazines. Inside, it felt like a museum, beautiful but cold. Minimal furniture, no personal touches, everything staged for aesthetics rather than living. This is where you live? Caleb asked. This is where I sleep sometimes. It's not really living. He walked through the space, noting the expensive art that meant nothing, the pristine kitchen that clearly wasn't used, the home office where Iris probably spent most of her time. We need to make this look like I live here too, he said. They spent the next hour creating traces of his presence. Work boots by the door, tools in the garage, toiletries in the bathroom, a framed photo of Maya on the bedside table. Small lies that created a larger truth. By 3 a.m., they collapsed into Iris's king-sized bed, the first time they'd actually slept in the same room. This is weird, Caleb said. Extremely. Good weird or bad weird? Iris thought about it. Different weird. Not sure which category yet. They lay in the dark, exhausted but too wired to sleep. Caleb? Iris said quietly. Yeah? When this is over, whatever the outcome, I want you to know something. What? You've changed how I see things, how I see myself. Before you, I thought vulnerability was weakness. Now, I think maybe it's just honesty. Caleb turned toward her in the darkness. For what it's worth, You've changed me too. Reminded me that asking for help isn't failure, that partnership can exist even in impossible circumstances. Is that what we have? Partnership? I think so, strange as it is. Iris reached out, finding his hand in the dark. Strange might be my new favorite thing. They fell asleep like that. Hands linked, futures uncertain, but somehow less alone than either had been in years. Outside, Seattle slept. Inside, two people who'd started as strangers were slowly becoming something else, something neither had planned for, something that might actually be real. Morning came too soon, pale winter light filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows that made Iris's bedroom feel like living inside a cloud. Caleb woke first, disoriented by the unfamiliar space, the expensive sheets, the view of Lake Washington, the woman sleeping beside him with her dark hair spread across the pillow. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then reality crashed back in waves. The deposition, the vandalized workshop, 4 days until judgment. Iris stirred, eyes opening slowly. What time is it? 6:30. We should head back to my place before Maya gets suspicious about where I spent the night. They moved through morning routines with the awkward choreography of people still learning each other's rhythms. Caleb made coffee while Iris showered. She emerged in a sleek gray dress that transformed her back into the executive, armor replacing vulnerability. You have meetings today? He asked. Board briefing at 9, quarterly review at 11. I need to act like everything's normal, even though my entire world might implode Friday. Performance. Survival, she corrected, accepting the coffee mug. In my world, they're the same thing. Caleb wanted to argue, but recognized the truth in it. What do you need from me today? Keep working on the shop, document everything for insurance, and maybe... She hesitated. Maybe bring Maya by the house this afternoon? If investigators are watching, they should see us acting like a family. The word hung between them. Family. Such a simple word for such a complicated reality. I'll ask Linda, Caleb said. But, Iris, we can't use Maya as a prop. That's a line I won't cross. I'm not asking you to use her. I'm asking you to let her see where we live. That's different. Is it? Iris set down her mug with deliberate care. I know you're protecting her. I respect that. But she's part of this whether we like it or not. At some point, she needs to understand what her life looks like now. Caleb knew she was right. He hated it, but she was right. They drove separately back to his apartment, Iris in her Tesla, Caleb in his eventually jump-started truck, maintaining the fiction that they'd spent the night apart. The city was waking up around them, people heading to normal jobs with normal problems, unaware that some lives balanced on legal technicalities and trust clauses. At the apartment, Caleb called Linda. How bad is it? Linda asked immediately. The woman had radar for trouble. Workshop got vandalized. I'm dealing with cleanup and insurance, but I need a favor. Name it. Can I bring Maya to Iris's house this afternoon? Let her see where we'll be living sometimes? Silence on the line, long enough to make Caleb nervous. Linda? You're really doing this, moving between houses, building a life with someone you barely know. I'm trying to. And Maya? How does she fit into this experiment? The question landed hard. She's not an experiment. She's my priority. Always. Then why does this feel like you're gambling with her stability? Caleb sank onto the couch. Because maybe I am, but I'm also gambling on giving her a better future, a stable one. Isn't that worth the risk? Linda sighed deeply. Sarah would have some opinions about this. I know, I wish I could ask her. She'd tell you to trust your instincts, and she'd tell you to protect Maya's heart above everything else. I'm trying to do both. Those things don't always align, sweetheart. Caleb rubbed his face, exhaustion catching up. I know, but I'm out of perfect options. I'm just trying to make the best choice I can. Another pause. Then Linda's voice softened. Bring her by at 3. I'll prep her first. Make sure she understands this is just exploring, not committing. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If this falls apart and that little girl gets hurt, we're going to have words. Fair enough. After hanging up, Caleb texted Iris. Maya's coming at 3. Be ready. Her response was immediate. I'll leave work early. What is she like? Books? dragons, chocolate chip cookies, and honesty above everything. Honesty I can do. Cookies I'll have to buy. She'll appreciate the effort. Caleb spent the morning at the workshop meeting with insurance adjusters and contractors. The damage estimate came back at $32,000. His deductible was $10,000. Even with the Hale Innovations contracts, the hit would hurt. Marcus found him staring at the ruined lumber pile around noon. "You okay, boss?" "Honestly, no, but I will be." "The guys are worried, not just about the shop, about you. You've been different since last week." Caleb turned. "Different how?" "Distracted, stressed, and you got married without telling anyone, which is weird even for you." Marcus crossed his arms. "So what's really going on?" Caleb weighed how much to share. Marcus had been with him since the beginning, had helped him through Sarah's death, deserved something approaching truth. "Iris's company is going through complicated transitions. There were legal requirements around her maintaining control. I'm helping her meet those requirements." "By marrying her?" "Yeah." Marcus absorbed this. "So it's a business arrangement." "It started that way. Now it's evolving." "Into what?" "I don't know yet. But whatever it becomes, it's real. The feelings, the commitment, that's not performance." Marcus studied him with the assessment of someone who'd known Caleb for years. "You care about her." "I do." "And she cares about you?" "I think so. In her way." "Her way being what? Rich executive slumming with a carpenter?" Caleb bristled. "It's not like that, isn't it? Because from where I'm standing, you're getting your shop trashed and your life investigated while she gets to keep her empire. Seems one-sided. She didn't ask for any of this. She's fighting her own battle. And your collateral damage." The accusation stung because it held a grain of truth. But Caleb shook his head. "I made a choice. Eyes open. If there's damage, it's damage I accepted." Marcus sighed. "I hope she's worth it." "Me too." At 2:30, Caleb picked up Maya from Linda's house. She was quiet in the truck, staring out the window as they drove. "Grandma Linda says we're going to see where Iris lives," Maya said finally. "Yeah, I thought you might like to see it. Is it fancy?" "Very." "Do we have to live there?" Caleb glanced at her. "Sometimes, yeah. But we'll still have the apartment too. We'll split time." Maya processed this. "Like shared custody. Like Emma at school, whose parents are divorced." "Kind of. But different because Iris and I are together." "Are you really together, or is this one of those adult complicated things?" The question was too perceptive for a 9-year-old. Caleb chose his words carefully. "It's complicated and real at the same time. We're figuring it out as we go." "That sounds confusing." "It is confusing, but good things can be confusing sometimes." Maya twisted her hands in her lap, a gesture she'd inherited from Sarah. "What if I don't like it? The house, living with Iris?" "Then we talk about it. Your feelings matter, Butterfly. They always matter." "But we're still doing it even if I don't like it." Caleb pulled over, turning to face her. "Maya, I need you to understand something. I married Iris because I believe she's good for us, for our future. But you're my daughter, and your happiness comes first. If this doesn't work, if it's too much, we'll find another way. Okay?" Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I miss Mom." "I know, baby. I miss her too." "Is Iris going to replace her?" "Never. Mom is irreplaceable. Iris is something different, something new, but she's not trying to be Mom." Maya wiped her eyes. "What if I want Mom back instead?" Caleb's heart shattered. "Me too. Every single day. But we can't have that. So we do the best we can with what we have." "And what we have is Iris?" "What we have is a chance to build something stable, to not worry so much about money, to maybe be part of something bigger than just us surviving." Maya thought about this with the seriousness of someone much older. "Okay, I'll try. That's all I'm asking." They drove the rest of the way in silence, Maya's small hand finding his on the console. When they pulled up to Iris's house, Maya's eyes went wide. "That's a house?" "That's a house. It looks like a museum." "Yeah, it kind of does." Iris met them at the door, and Caleb noticed immediately that she'd changed clothes, jeans and a soft sweater. The executive armor replaced with something more approachable. Her hair was down. She looked nervous. "Hi, Maya," Iris said. "Welcome." Maya studied her with undisguised assessment. "Your house is really big." "It is. Too big for one person, honestly. I'm glad to have company." "Can I see my room?" The question caught both adults off guard. Iris recovered first. "Of course. I haven't set it up yet. I wanted you to help choose how it should look." Maya's expression brightened slightly. "Really? Really? Come on, I'll show you." They walked through the house, Iris pointing out different spaces, while Maya took everything in with wide eyes. The living room with its view of the lake, the kitchen with restaurant-grade appliances, the library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Maya stopped in the library. "Are all these books yours?" "They are. Do you like reading?" "I love reading. Dad says I get it from my mom. She was going to be an architect, and she read all the time." Iris knelt down to Maya's level. "Your mom sounds amazing." "She was. She's dead now." "I know. I'm sorry." Maya looked at Iris directly. "Did you know your mom?" The question was pointed. Iris answered honestly. "I did. She died when I was in college. Cancer, like your mom." "Did it hurt?" "Losing her? Yes. Every day for a long time." "Does it still hurt?" "Sometimes, but differently now. More like missing someone than losing them, if that makes sense." Maya nodded slowly. "That makes sense." They continued to the second floor, where Iris showed Maya 2 bedrooms, one that could be hers, one that would be Caleb's office. Maya's potential room was large and empty, windows overlooking the lake. "I can decorate it however I want." "However you want. Posters, paint colors, furniture, all your choice." "Can I have glow-in-the-dark stars like at Dad's apartment?" "Absolutely." Maya walked to the window, looking out at the water. "Do you really love my dad? Or is this just pretend?" Caleb started to intervene, but Iris held up a hand. She wanted to answer. "I care about your dad very much," Iris said carefully. "Love is something that grows over time. I'm not sure we're there yet, but I want to be." Does that answer your question? Kind of. Emma's mom's boyfriend said he loved her mom right away, but then he left. So I don't trust people who say things too fast. That's smart. You should trust actions more than words. What are your actions? Iris smiled slightly. I'm here. I changed my work schedule to meet you. I'm trying to make a space where you'd feel comfortable, and I'm being honest with you even when it's hard. Those are my actions. Maya considered this with her characteristic seriousness. Okay, I'll watch and see what else you do. Fair enough. Downstairs, Caleb had been anxiously pacing until they returned. Maya went straight to him. It's okay, Dad. I like her. Relief flooded through him. Yeah? She's honest. And she said I can have glow-in-the-dark stars. That's a good start. Maya turned back to Iris. Can we have cookies now? Dad said you were going to get chocolate chip. Iris produced a bakery box from the kitchen. Fresh from the bakery this morning. They sat at the kitchen island eating cookies, and slowly the tension began to ease. Maya asked questions about Iris's work, the house, what kind of music she liked. Iris answered patiently, never talking down, treating Maya like a person with valid concerns. Caleb watched them interact and felt something shift in his chest, not quite family yet, but the possibility of it. The foundation. His phone rang. Patricia. I need to take this, he said, stepping into the other room. Patricia? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Actually, something might be right. I just got a call from the trust administrator's office. They want to schedule a meeting tomorrow instead of waiting until Friday. Caleb's stomach dropped. Why? They didn't say, but moving up the timeline could be good or bad. Either they've made a decision and want to resolve this quickly, or they've found something concerning. Which do you think it is? Honestly, I don't know. But I think you and Iris should be prepared for anything. What time? 10 a.m., my office. We'll review everything beforehand. After hanging up, Caleb returned to find Maya showing Iris her favorite book app, explaining why certain fantasy series were better than others. They looked comfortable together, not forced, just natural. "Everything okay?" Iris asked, reading his expression. "We need to talk later, after Maya goes home." Iris nodded, understanding the code. At 5, Linda came to pick up Maya. Before leaving, Maya surprised everyone by hugging Iris. "Thank you for the cookies," she said. "Any time. And for being honest. I like that. I like that you appreciate it." After they left, the house felt too quiet. Caleb and Iris stood in the kitchen, the weight of everything pressing down. "What did Patricia say?" Iris asked. "They moved up the meeting, tomorrow at 10. That's either very good or very bad." "Yeah." Iris paced, nervous energy radiating off her. "I can't wait 3 more days only to have it happen tomorrow instead. The anticipation is killing me." "Then let's not think about it tonight." "How do you just not think about it?" "We focus on something else, something we can control." "Like what?" Caleb looked around the pristine house. "Like making this place feel less like a museum and more like somewhere people actually live." For the next 3 hours, they rearranged furniture, hung photos Caleb had brought from his apartment, moved books to accessible places instead of decorative ones. They ordered pizza and ate sitting on the floor because the dining table felt too formal. They argued about whether the couch should face the window or the fireplace, and eventually compromised by angling it toward both. By 9, the house looked different. Still beautiful, but lived in. Real. Iris stood in the living room surveying the changes. "It's better, less staged." "More like a home," Caleb agreed. "I've never been good at that. Making places feel like home." "Maybe you just needed someone to share the space with." Iris turned to him. "Is that what we're doing? Sharing space?" "Among other things." "What other things?" Caleb crossed to her. "Building something, figuring things out, trying not to mess it up too badly." "Very romantic," she said dryly, but she was smiling. "I'm a carpenter, not a poet. I've noticed." They stood close, the air between them charged with everything unsaid. Caleb reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Tomorrow's going to be intense," he said quietly. "I know. Whatever happens, we face it together. Promise?" "Promise." Iris leaned into him and Caleb wrapped his arms around her. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other up against whatever was coming. Later, lying in bed in the dark, Iris spoke into the silence. "Caleb, are you awake?" "Yeah." "I'm scared." "Me too." "What if we lose?" "Then we lose. But we'll still have tried. That counts for something." "Does it?" "It does to me." Iris rolled toward him. "When did you get so wise about handling failure?" "When my wife died and left me alone with a 5-year-old and no idea how to survive. You learn to accept what you can't control and fight for what you can." "And which category is tomorrow?" "Tomorrow we fight. After that, we'll see." Sleep came in fits and starts, both of them too wired to fully rest. At some point around 3, Caleb woke to find Iris gone. He found her in the library, reading contracts by lamplight. "Can't sleep?" he asked, "trying to make sure I haven't missed anything, some clause or technicality Victor could exploit." "Iris, it's 3 in the morning." "I know, but if there's something I missed..." Caleb gently closed the folder she was holding. "There's nothing. You've been over this 1,000 times. Patricia's been over it. We've done everything we can. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But exhausting yourself won't change tomorrow's outcome." She let him lead her back to bed, but he could feel the tension vibrating through her. "Talk to me," he said. "What's really going on in your head?" Iris was quiet for so long he thought she might not answer. "I'm afraid of being my father," she finally said, "of building something impressive but empty. Of dying alone in an office having proven nothing except that I could work harder than everyone else." "You're not your father." "How do you know?" "Because you're here, in bed with someone you let see you scared. Your father never did that. He never let anyone in. Maybe that's why he succeeded. Maybe vulnerability is just weakness dressed up as honesty." Caleb propped himself up on one elbow, looking at her in the darkness. "You really believe that?" "I don't know what I believe anymore. Everything I thought I knew about success and control and power, it's all shifting. You've shifted it. Is that bad? It's terrifying, but maybe not bad. He kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we find out if terrifying was worth it. Morning arrived gray and cold, the kind of Seattle winter day that felt like the sky was pressing down. They dressed in careful silence, both choosing professional armor, Iris in a navy suit, Caleb in slacks, and a button-down that felt too tight around the collar. Patricia met them at her office at 9, her expression unreadable. The trust administrator called this morning, she said without preamble. They've completed their investigation. And? Iris's voice was steady, but Caleb could see her hands shaking. They want to present their findings in person. Both the administrator and Victor will be there. Victor? Caleb felt anger flash hot. Why does he get to be in the room? Because he initiated the challenge. He has the right to hear the determination. Iris closed her eyes briefly. So we sit there while they decide our fate with the person who's trying to destroy us watching. Unfortunately, yes. When do we leave? Caleb asked. Now. They're waiting. The drive to the trust administrator's office felt like driving to an execution. Traffic crawled. Every red light lasted forever. Iris stared out the window, jaw clenched, while Caleb drove with white-knuckled hands on the wheel. Whatever happens, he said at one point, we tell the truth. No more performance, just truth. And if the truth isn't enough, then it isn't. But at least we'll know we were honest. The administrator's office was in a downtown high-rise, all marble and mahogany, designed to project gravitas and permanence. They were led to a conference room where Victor already sat, looking confident and composed. Iris, Caleb, so good of you to join us. His smile was reptilian. Victor. Iris's voice could have frozen water. The trust administrator entered, a severe woman in her 60s named Margaret Winters, with steel-gray hair and the expression of someone who'd seen every manipulation in the book. Let's begin, Margaret said, settling into her chair. I've reviewed all materials submitted by both parties. Deposition testimony, financial records, witness statements, photographic evidence. She opened a folder, and Caleb felt his heart hammering against his ribs. This investigation centered on one primary question. Is the marriage between Iris Hale and Caleb Turner genuine, or is it a fraudulent arrangement designed to circumvent the trust clause requiring marriage as a condition of corporate control? Victor leaned forward slightly, scenting victory. Margaret continued, I must say, this was one of the more unusual cases I've encountered. The timeline is suspicious. The financial arrangements raise eyebrows. The lack of prior relationship evidence is concerning. Iris's hands clenched in her lap. Caleb reached over, covering them with his own. However, Margaret said, and the word hung in the air like a lifeline, after careful consideration, I find that the marriage, while unconventional, does not constitute fraud. The room went still. Victor's face darkened. Excuse me? The marriage is legally valid and appears to be entered into with genuine intent. While the circumstances are unusual, unusual does not equal fraudulent. They barely know each other, Victor protested. The contract signed immediately after the wedding are legitimate business arrangements conducted through proper channels at market rates. Ms. Hale's company needed renovation work. Mr. Turner's company provides that service. The timing is convenient but not illegal. This is absurd. She married a stranger to keep control of my father's company. Your father's company was left to your sister, Margaret said sharply. The trust clause required marriage. She married. She has complied with the terms. Based on a technicality, based on the law. Margaret closed her folder. My determination is final. Iris Hale retains controlling interest in Hale Innovations. This matter is closed. Victor stood abruptly. I'll challenge this. Take it to court. Take it to prove fraud through discovery. You're welcome to try, Patricia said smoothly, but you'll need new evidence, and from what I've seen, you've already exhausted your investigative resources. Good luck finding a judge who'll overturn a marriage based on your personal grievances. Victor's glare could have melted steel. He looked at Iris with pure hatred. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is, Iris replied calmly. You lost, Victor. Accept it. I'll never accept you as CEO. You're not worthy of Dad's legacy. And yet, I'm the one he chose. Maybe you should ask yourself why. Victor grabbed his briefcase and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. In the ringing silence that followed, Caleb realized he'd been holding his breath. Is it really over? Iris asked Margaret. Barring new evidence of actual fraud, which I don't believe exists. Yes. You've met the trust requirements. Hale Innovations remains under your control. Iris sagged in her chair, the tension draining out in waves. Margaret stood, extending her hand. Congratulations on your marriage, Ms. Hale. I hope it brings you happiness beyond corporate necessity. After she left, the three of them sat in stunned silence. We won, Iris whispered. You won, Patricia corrected. You both did. Caleb felt like laughing or crying or both. I can't believe that actually worked. Believe it, Patricia said, gathering her files. Though I'd recommend actually building a real marriage now that you've fought so hard to validate it. We're working on it, Iris said. Outside, Seattle was still gray and cold, but somehow it felt different, lighter, like possibility had crept back in. They walked to a nearby coffee shop, neither quite ready to separate yet. Over lattes they didn't really taste, they processed what had just happened. Victor's not going to let this go, Iris said. He'll find other ways to undermine me. Probably, but he can't take the company now. That battle's won. For now. Caleb reached across the table, taking her hand. Hey, we survived. That's worth celebrating. Is it? We lied our way through a legal investigation, built a fake marriage, dragged your daughter into corporate warfare. We built something real out of desperate circumstances, Caleb interrupted. That's different. Is it? How do we even know what's real anymore? He squeezed her hand. This feels real. Right now, sitting here with you, that's real. Iris's eyes filled with unexpected tears. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Actually have something. Actually care about someone. My whole life has been about fighting, achieving, proving. I don't know how to just be. Then we learn together. No performance, no strategy, just figuring it out as we go. That sounds terrifying. Yeah, but maybe good terrifying this time. Iris's phone buzzed, a text from her assistant. Board meeting in 30 minutes. They've heard about the ruling. Expecting statement. She showed Caleb the message. Back to reality. You ready? No, but when has that stopped me? They walked back to where they'd parked, the city moving around them with its usual indifference to personal dramas. At Iris's car, she turned to Caleb. What happens now? With us? What do you want to happen? I want to try. Actually try. Make this real instead of just legal. Me too. Even though it's complicated? Especially because it's complicated. Easy things don't change you. Iris kissed him then. Not for performance, not for witnesses, just because she wanted to. It was soft and real and spoke of possibility. When they separated, both were smiling despite everything. Go handle your board, Caleb said. I'll pick up Maya and bring her to the house tonight. Start actually living like a family. You think we can pull that off? I think we're already halfway there. We just need to stop fighting it. Iris nodded, climbing into her car. Caleb, thank you for all of this, for showing up when I had nowhere else to turn. Anytime. That's what husbands do, right? I wouldn't know. You're my first. And hopefully your last. She drove away and Caleb watched until her car disappeared into traffic. Then he called Linda. We won, he said when she answered. Won what? Everything. The investigation cleared us. Iris keeps her company. Victor can't challenge it. Linda was quiet for a moment. And the marriage? Is that still just business? Caleb thought about Iris's kiss, the way her hand had trembled in his, the tears she'd let him see. No, he said honestly. It's becoming something else. Something real. Good. Because Maya's been asking about when she gets to stay at the big house. She's actually excited about it. Really? Really. Iris impressed her, and you know Maya, she doesn't impress easily. Relief washed through him. Can I pick her up in an hour? We're going to start actually living there. No more splitting time. You're moving in with Iris? For real? Yeah, for real. Caleb Turner, you never do anything halfway, do you? Learn from the best, he said, thinking of Sarah. She taught me that if you're going to do something, commit completely. She did say that, often. After hanging up, Caleb drove to his apartment one last time as a single man in all the ways that mattered. He packed clothes, Maya's things, framed photos, the small pieces of life he'd built alone. His phone rang. Marcus. Boss, insurance came through. They're cutting a check for the full damage minus deductible. And I got 3 suppliers willing to donate materials. We can rebuild. Marcus, that's amazing. Yeah, well, word got around about what happened. Community's rallying. Turner Woodworks isn't going anywhere. Caleb felt emotion clog his throat. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just get back here and help us rebuild. We've got work to do. By evening, Caleb and Maya were pulling up to Iris's house with suitcases and boxes, ready to actually move in instead of just staging presents. Iris met them at the door, having changed out of her executive suit into jeans and a sweater. She looked nervous and hopeful in equal measure. Welcome home, she said. Maya looked up at her father. Is this really home now? Caleb looked at Iris, then back at his daughter. Yeah, Butterfly, this is home, if you want it to be. Maya considered this seriously, then nodded. Okay, but I get to keep my glow-in-the-dark stars. Deal, Iris said, smiling. They carried boxes inside together, and for the first time since this whole strange journey began, it felt less like performance and more like possibility. That night, after Maya was asleep in her new room with glow-in-the-dark stars already ordered for overnight shipping, Caleb and Iris sat on the couch watching the lake shimmer under moonlight. We did it, Iris said quietly. We did. Now what? Now we figure out how to actually be married, for real this time. Any ideas how to do that? Caleb pulled her close. Not a clue, but I'm willing to learn if you are. I'm terrified. Good. Me too. Means it matters. They sat in comfortable silence, 2 people who'd started as strangers and survived enough together to maybe, possibly, become something more. Outside, Seattle slept. Inside, a family was slowly, imperfectly beginning to form. It wasn't the ending either had imagined. It was better. It was real. The first week of actually living together was harder than surviving the investigation. Caleb woke Tuesday morning to find Iris already gone, a note on the kitchen counter. Emergency board meeting. Coffee's ready. Sorry. The coffee was cold by the time he found it at 7, and Maya came downstairs asking where Iris was, disappointment evident in her small voice. Work emergency, Caleb explained, pouring cereal. She's always going to have work emergencies, isn't she? The question held more weight than its words. Caleb sat across from his daughter, meeting her eyes. Probably, yeah. Iris runs a big company. That means unpredictable schedules sometimes. Mom never left before breakfast. Mom had a different job, different life. Maya pushed her cereal around. I know, but I liked knowing she'd be there. Caleb's chest tightened. I'm here. Always. I know, but it was supposed to be different now, with Iris, like a real family. It is a real family, just a different shape than you're used to. Maya looked at him with Sarah's perceptive eyes. Do you love her? For real? Not just pretend? Caleb thought about Iris's hand in his during the ruling, the way she'd let him see her scared, the kiss that hadn't been for anyone but them. I'm getting there, he said honestly. Love takes time to grow. Like those glow-in-the-dark stars, they need to charge up before they shine. That's a weird metaphor, Dad. I'm a carpenter, not a poet. Iris said the same thing about you. Despite everything, Caleb smiled. Did she? Yeah. She said you're better with your hands than your words, but that's okay because what you build matters more than what you say. Something warm spread through Caleb's chest. When did she tell you that? When you were loading boxes. I asked if you were good at being a husband, and she said she thought you'd be better at showing than telling. Caleb stood, ruffling Maya's hair. Smart woman. Are you going to show her? I'm going to try. At the workshop, the rebuild was progressing faster than expected. Marcus had organized the crew into efficient teams, one handling demolition of damaged materials, another installing new equipment, a third refinishing salvageable pieces. The space hummed with purpose. Insurance check cleared, Marcus reported. And those donated materials, enough to upgrade our saw station, will actually come out ahead. That's good news. There's more. Remember that hotel renovation contract we bid on 6 months ago? The one we lost to a bigger outfit? Yeah? They called yesterday. Their contractor bailed mid-project. They want to know if we're available. Caleb felt hope flicker. How big? 300,000 over 8 months. Steady work, good margins. And you think we can handle it with the shop still recovering? Marcus grinned. Boss, we just survived a vandalism, an investigation, and you getting married to a CEO. A hotel renovation is easy by comparison. Fair point. Tell them yes. We'll make it work. As Marcus walked away, Caleb's phone buzzed. A text from Iris. Lunch today? Need to talk. The phrase need to talk sent anxiety spidering through his chest. He texted back. Everything okay? Yes. Just, we should talk. 12:30 at Lucia's? The coffee shop where they'd supposedly been meeting for months during their fictional courtship. The irony wasn't lost on him. I'll be there. He arrived first, ordering 2 coffees, hers with oat milk, his black, and claiming a corner table. When Iris walked in at 12:33, she looked exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that came from fighting battles on multiple fronts. Sorry I'm late, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. The board meeting ran over. Everything okay with the company? Depends on your definition of okay. Victor's been making calls, talking to investors, planting seeds of doubt about my leadership. He can't take the company legally, so he's trying to undermine me politically. Can he do that? He's trying. Whether he succeeds depends on whether I can keep the board's confidence. She sipped her coffee, and Caleb noticed her hands were shaking slightly. I gave them a presentation this morning. Q4 results. Strategic roadmap for the next 3 years. Projections showing 18% growth. How'd it go? They approved everything, but I could see the doubt in some of their eyes. The unspoken question, is she stable? Can we trust someone who married a stranger to keep control? Caleb reached across the table, taking her hand. You're the same leader you were before the marriage. Better, maybe, because you're not fighting alone anymore. Am I not? Iris met his eyes. Caleb, I left before breakfast this morning. I've worked until midnight every night since we moved in together. I'm barely seeing Maya. I'm not being a wife or a mother figure or anything except a CEO scrambling to hold on to power. You're being all of those things, just imperfectly. That's allowed. Is it? Because Maya asked me last night when we'd have dinner together as a family, and I didn't have an answer. The pain in her voice was sharp. Caleb squeezed her hand. Then let's make a rule, he said. 1 family dinner a week, non-negotiable. No work, no phones, just us. 1 dinner won't fix this. It's a start, and starts matter. Iris looked at their joined hands. I don't know how to balance this. Work has always been everything. Now I'm supposed to make room for family, and I don't know how to do that without failing at both. You're not failing. You're adjusting. There's a difference. It doesn't feel like adjusting. It feels like drowning. Caleb stood, pulling her up. Come with me. What? I have a 2 o'clock. Cancel it. Come on. He led her outside to his truck and started driving without explanation. Iris watched Seattle blur past, too tired to argue. They ended up at Discovery Park, the city's largest green space, where forest met beach and the world felt bigger than corporate boardrooms. Caleb parked and got out, gesturing for Iris to follow. We're going for a walk? She asked incredulously. We're getting perspective. They walked the beach trail in silence at first, the sound of waves filling the space between words. The air smelled like salt and pine, clean and uncomplicated. Sarah used to bring me here, Caleb said eventually. When I was stressed about work or money or anything, she'd say that looking at something bigger than yourself helps you remember what actually matters. And what actually matters? Not dying with regrets, not sacrificing the good for the perfect, not letting fear make all your decisions. Iris stopped walking. Is that what I'm doing? Letting fear decide? I think you're so afraid of failing as a CEO that you're forgetting you're also a person, a wife, someone Maya's starting to care about. And if I can't be all those things, then you choose which failure you can live with, because you can't be perfect at everything, Iris. No one can. She sank onto a driftwood log, staring at the water. I've built my entire identity around being perfect. Flawless execution. No weaknesses. How do I just let that go? Caleb sat beside her. You don't let it go. You expand it. Add new definitions of success that include things like Maya's smile when you remember to ask about her day, or coming home before she's asleep, or letting me help instead of carrying everything alone. Iris's eyes filled with tears. I'm so tired, Caleb. So tired of fighting. Victor, the board, my own impossible standards. I thought winning the investigation would make things easier, but it's just revealed how hard the real work is. The real work is always harder, but you don't have to do it alone. Don't I? You have your workshop, your crew, Maya. You have a whole life that existed before me. What do I have except a company I'm terrified of losing? Caleb turned her to face him. You have me. You have Maya, who asked this morning if we could teach her woodworking because she wants to understand what you and I talk about. You have Linda, who called yesterday asking if you wanted her dumpling recipe because families should share food traditions. You have people, Iris. You're just so focused on what you might lose that you can't see what you've already gained. The tears spilled over. I don't know how to do this. How to be vulnerable and still be strong. They're not opposites. Sarah was the strongest person I knew, and she cried every time she watched a sad movie. Strength isn't pretending you don't need help. It's asking for it anyway. Iris leaned into him, letting herself be held while she cried, really cried, for the first time in years. All the pressure, the fear, the exhaustion poured out in waves while Caleb just held steady. When she finally quieted, Caleb spoke softly. Here's what we're going to do. Tonight, you're coming home at 6. We're having family dinner. Tomorrow, you're taking a half day to watch Maya's school presentation. And this weekend, we're doing absolutely nothing work-related, just being a family. I can't just abandon my responsibilities. You're not abandoning them. You're delegating, rescheduling, and setting boundaries. That's what good leaders do. Iris pulled back, wiping her eyes. When did you become so wise about leadership? When I had to rebuild a business while raising a daughter alone. You learn what matters when everything's falling apart. They sat watching the waves for a while longer, Iris's head on Caleb's shoulder, both of them breathing in rhythm with the tide. Okay, Iris said finally. Tonight at 6, family dinner. Promise? Promise. That evening, Iris walked through her front door at exactly 5:58 p.m., carrying takeout Thai food and looking determined. Maya's face lit up. You're home! I promised, didn't I? They ate at the kitchen table. No phones, no work talk, just conversation about Maya's day, Caleb's rebuild progress, and Iris's amusing story about a board member who'd fallen asleep during her presentation. That's so rude, Maya said. It is, but also kind of funny. His snoring was louder than my PowerPoint. Maya giggled, and Iris felt something warm spread through her chest, the simple joy of making a child laugh. After dinner, they played cards, and Iris was terrible at it, which Maya found hilarious. You run a whole company, but you can't remember if aces are high or low? Maya teased. Apparently running companies doesn't require card game expertise, Iris admitted. Good thing you married Dad. He's really good at cards. Among other things, Caleb said, winking at Iris. Later, after Maya was in bed, Caleb and Iris cleaned the kitchen together in comfortable silence. Thank you, Iris said quietly, for today, for reminding me what matters. Any time, that's what partners do. Is that what we are? Partners. Caleb dried the last dish, setting it down carefully. I think we're becoming something more than that, something neither of us planned but both of us need. And what's that? He pulled her close. Home. For each other. Iris kissed him then, and it was different from before, less desperate, more certain. When they separated, both were smiling. "I think I'm falling in love with you," Iris whispered. "Actual love. Not strategic, not convenient, real." "Yeah?" Caleb's heart hammered. "Yeah, terrifying, right?" The best things usually are. The following weeks settled into an imperfect rhythm. Iris still worked long hours, but she came home for dinner 3 nights a week. Caleb rebuilt the workshop while simultaneously teaching Maya basic carpentry on weekends. They had family movie nights and awkward conversations about household responsibilities, and slowly, messily, built something resembling a life together. Victor continued his campaign of whispered doubts and strategic undermining, but Iris's Q1 results were strong enough to quiet most critics. The board remained supportive, if watchful. Then, 6 weeks after the ruling, everything shifted again. Iris came home early on a Wednesday afternoon, her face pale. "What's wrong?" Caleb asked immediately. "Victor's filed a lawsuit, civil fraud. He's suing me personally for conspiracy to defraud the trust." Caleb felt ice in his veins. "Can he do that?" "Apparently. His lawyers found some obscure precedent. Even though the trust administrator cleared us, he's arguing we conspired to deceive, and he has standing as a trust beneficiary to seek damages." "What kind of damages?" $200 million. The full value of my controlling shares." Caleb sank onto the couch. "This doesn't end, does it? No matter how many battles we win, he just finds new ways to fight. That's who Victor is. He doesn't accept defeat." "What do we do?" Iris sat beside him. "Patricia says we have a strong defense. The trust administrator's ruling establishes legitimacy, but it'll mean months of litigation, more depositions, more scrutiny, more of our lives exposed." "And if we lose?" "I lose the company and probably owe him damages I can't pay. Bankruptcy, the end of everything I've built." Caleb took her hands. "Then we fight, again, as many times as it takes." "I can't ask you to keep doing this. It's not fair to you or Maya." "You're not asking. I'm choosing. We're in this together." Iris's eyes filled with tears. "Why? Why do you keep choosing this? You could walk away. The marriage is legal. You've fulfilled your obligation. You could take the workshop contracts and leave." "Is that what you think this is? An obligation? Isn't it?" Caleb cupped her face. "Iris, I love you. Actual, real, inconvenient love. The kind that makes me want to fight your brother even though he scares the hell out of me. The kind that makes me excited to come home because you might be there. The kind that makes me want to build a future that includes you in every part of it." "You love me?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Yeah, probably have for a while. Just took me time to recognize it." Iris kissed him like she was drowning, and he was air. When they finally separated, both were breathing hard. "I love you too," she said. "So much it terrifies me." "Then let's be terrified together. Let's fight Victor together. Let's build this weird, imperfect family together. Even if it means more chaos?" "Especially then. Chaos doesn't scare me anymore. Losing you does." They held each other while the afternoon light faded, two people who'd found love in the strangest circumstances and decided it was worth protecting. That night, at family dinner, they told Maya about the lawsuit. "Is the mean stepbrother trying to hurt Iris again?" Maya asked. "He's trying," Iris confirmed, "but we're not letting him win." "Good. I don't like him. He sounds like the villain in my fantasy books." "He kind of is," Caleb agreed. Maya thought for a moment. "In my books, the villain usually loses because they're fighting for the wrong reasons. They want power, but the heroes win because they're fighting for love and family and protecting people." "That's a smart observation," Iris said. "So we'll win, right? Because we're fighting for the right reasons?" Caleb and Iris exchanged glances. "We're going to try our hardest," Caleb said. "That's all we can promise." "That's enough," Maya decided. "Trying hard for the right reasons is how heroes work." The lawsuit discovery process was brutal. Victor's lawyers requested everything: financial records, communications, photographs, witness testimony from everyone who'd ever interacted with Caleb and Iris. They subpoenaed Marcus, Linda, even Maya's school, to verify the timeline of Iris's involvement in their lives. Patricia fought back hard, filing motions to limit scope, arguing harassment, protecting privacy where possible. But the grinding machinery of litigation rolled forward regardless. 3 months in, sitting in Patricia's office reviewing yet another deposition transcript, Caleb finally broke. "This is insane. We're spending hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars proving what's already been established. The marriage is real. The love is real. What more does he want?" "He wants you broken," Patricia said bluntly. "He wants Iris so exhausted from fighting that she surrenders just to make it stop." "And if I do?" Iris asked quietly. "If I just give him the company, would that end this?" "Iris, no," Caleb started. "I'm serious. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not worth all this destruction, the workshop vandalism, the constant legal battles, dragging all of you through this nightmare. Maybe the cost is too high." Caleb stood, pulling her up to face him. "Listen to me. You are worth fighting for. The company is worth fighting for. Our family is worth fighting for. Victor wins the moment you start believing you don't deserve what you've built. But at what cost? Your peace? Maya's stability? Our marriage? Our marriage is stronger because we're fighting together. Maya's learning that standing up for what's right matters more than avoiding conflict. And my peace? I found it when I found you." Iris looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. "How are you so sure?" "Because I've already lost the love of my life once. I know what that feels like. And I know you're worth fighting to keep." Patricia cleared her throat. "As touching as this is, I should mention that Victor's team made a settlement offer this morning." Both turned to her. "What kind of offer?" Iris asked. "He drops the lawsuit if you resign as CEO and accept a VP position under his leadership. You'd keep your shares but lose operational control." "Absolutely not," Caleb said immediately. But Iris was quiet, considering. "It would end the fighting," she said slowly. "I'd still have financial security. Maya wouldn't have to live through months more of this. And Victor wins," Caleb said. "After everything we fought for, he wins." "Maybe that's okay. Maybe some battles aren't worth winning." Caleb took her shoulders. "Sarah told me something right before she died. She said the only failure that matters is giving up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself, Iris. Not for Victor, not for peace, not for anything." Iris closed her eyes, tears sliding down. "I'm so tired, Caleb." "I know, but you're also strong, stronger than you think, and you're not alone." Patricia watched this exchange with professional distance. "I need an answer by Friday. What should I tell them?" Iris opened her eyes, and Caleb saw something shift there, exhaustion giving way to determination. "Tell them no. Tell them I'll see them in court. Tell them I'm done negotiating with terrorists." Patricia smiled. "Now that's the Iris Hale I know." The trial was scheduled for late June, 4 months after Victor had filed. Those months were a crucible that burned away everything that wasn't essential. Iris learned to delegate at work, trusting her VP team to handle day-to-day operations while she focused on strategic decisions and legal defense. The company didn't collapse. In fact, it thrived under the distributed leadership model. Caleb's workshop not only recovered, but expanded, hiring 3 new craftspeople and opening a showroom in Pioneer Square. The hotel renovation contract led to 2 more, and suddenly Turner Woodworks was growing beyond anything he'd imagined. Maya adjusted to the chaos with remarkable resilience, though she required regular reassurance that the fighting wasn't her fault and wouldn't result in another loss. Iris learned to provide that reassurance, becoming not a replacement mother, but something uniquely her own, a steady presence, a curious listener, a partner in small adventures. And slowly, the marriage that had started as a legal necessity became a genuine partnership. Caleb and Iris learned each other's rhythms, fears, dreams. They fought about household responsibilities and money and work-life balance. They made up with conversations that lasted past midnight and kisses that promised commitment. They became real. The trial itself was anticlimactic compared to the build-up. Victor's lawyers presented their case: suspicious timing, financial incentives, lack of prior relationship evidence. They painted Iris as a calculating executive who'd manipulated a desperate man into fraud. Patricia countered with documented evidence of genuine relationship development. She called Marcus, who testified about seeing real affection between them. Linda took the stand and described how Iris had integrated into their family naturally, not performatively. Even Maya testified, briefly, carefully, about how Iris remembered her favorite books and helped with homework and was learning to be part of their lives. But the moment that mattered came when Iris took the stand. Victor's attorney, Mitchell Garrison, went straight for the throat. Ms. Hale, did you marry Caleb Turner because you loved him or because you needed to fulfill a trust requirement? Iris didn't hesitate. Initially, I married him because I was desperate. I was out of options and terrified of losing everything I'd worked for. So yes, the trust requirement was the catalyst. The courtroom murmured. Caleb's heart stuttered. But, Iris continued, desperation doesn't negate authenticity. I chose Caleb specifically because I'd worked with him and seen his character. I trusted him when I trusted almost no one. And in the process of building a fake marriage, we built a real relationship. How convenient, Mitchell said dryly. Not convenient, difficult, messy, complicated. We fought about everything from dishes to work schedules to how to parent Maya. We've had doubts and fears and moments where giving up seemed easier than continuing. That's not convenience, that's marriage. A marriage that netted Mr. Turner $300,000 in contracts. A marriage that gave me a partner who sees me as a person, not a position, who calls me out when I'm working too much, who reminds me what matters when I lose perspective. You can't put a price on that. Mitchell consulted his notes. The trust administrator initially found your relationship unusual and suspicious. They did, and after thorough investigation, they found it legitimate, because unusual doesn't mean fake. My whole life has been unusual. Building a company at 28, becoming CEO at 31, having a stepbrother who can't accept that our father chose me. I'm used to unusual. It doesn't scare me anymore. What does scare you? Iris looked directly at Victor. Becoming like people who can't imagine that anything exists beyond their own ambition, who see every relationship as transactional, who'd rather destroy something beautiful than admit they were wrong. Victor's face flushed red. Mitchell tried several more approaches, but Iris held firm. When Caleb took the stand afterward, he was equally honest about his initial desperation, his growing respect, his eventual love. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they returned, the foreperson read their verdict. We find for the defendant, the marriage between Iris Hale and Caleb Turner, while unconventional in origin, is legally and personally legitimate. The plaintiff's fraud claim is dismissed. Victor stormed out of the courtroom without a word. Iris collapsed into Caleb's arms, crying with relief. Outside the courthouse, Patricia addressed the assembled press with characteristic efficiency. My client's marriage has been vindicated by both the trust administrator and now by jury verdict. This harassment ends today. Caleb pulled Iris away from the media circus, finding a quiet corner where they could just breathe. It's really over? Iris whispered. It's really over. He could appeal. He could. But he won't win. Patricia says the verdict was decisive. Victor's out of legal options. Iris sagged against him. I can't believe we survived this. We did more than survive. We built something real while the whole world was watching. That's pretty remarkable. That evening, they had a celebration dinner at home. Just the three of them, plus Linda, who'd become family in every way that mattered. They ordered pizza and ate with their hands and laughed until their sides hurt. Maya presented Iris with a handmade card that read, Congratulations on beating the villain. Love, Maya. P.S. You're a pretty good stepmom for someone who didn't know what they were doing. Iris cried reading it. Later, after Maya and Linda had gone home and the house was quiet, Caleb and Iris sat on the deck watching moonlight on the lake. What happens now? Iris asked. Now we live. Actually live, not just survive. What does that look like? Caleb thought about it. It looks like you working reasonable hours and me teaching Maya carpentry and us taking actual vacations. It looks like fights about whose turn it is to do dishes and makeup sex and slowly figuring out how to be married for real. That sounds terrifying and wonderful. Most good things are. Iris turned to face him. I want to renew our vows, have an actual wedding with people we love, make this official in every way that matters. We're already married. I know. But I want to marry you again. This time not because I have to, but because I want to, because you're my person and I want everyone to know it. Caleb kissed her softly. Okay, let's do it. Really? Really. On one condition. What's that? Maya helps plan it. This is her family too. Deal. 3 months later, on a Saturday in September with autumn just beginning to paint the trees, they stood on the beach at Discovery Park, surrounded by 30 people who actually mattered. Marcus and the workshop crew, Linda and her extended family, Patricia, who'd fought so hard to protect them, Maya, wearing a purple dress and carrying a bouquet of wildflowers she'd picked herself. No corporate board members. No business associates. No performance. Just family. The ceremony was simple. Patricia officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for this. Caleb wore a suit he'd actually had time to get tailored properly. Iris wore a simple white dress and her hair down, natural and beautiful. When it came time for vows, Caleb spoke first. Iris, when you knocked on my door 6 months ago, I thought you were offering me a business arrangement. I didn't realize you were offering me a future. You've taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, that asking for help is strength, and that love can grow in the strangest places if you let it. I promise to keep showing up, to keep fighting for us, to keep building this weird, imperfect, beautiful life we've created. I love you. For real this time. Forever this time. Iris wiped tears before speaking. Caleb, you saved me in ways that had nothing to do with trust clauses or legal requirements. You reminded me that I'm more than my job title. That success means nothing if you're achieving it alone. That family isn't something you're born into. It's something you build with people who see you, really see you, and choose to stay anyway. I promise to come home for dinner, to let you help when I'm struggling, to be the partner and person you deserve. I love you. Completely. Finally. For always. They exchanged rings, new ones this time, chosen together. And when Patricia pronounced them married again, the kiss felt like a beginning instead of an end. At the reception afterward, a casual barbecue on the beach, Maya stood on a chair and clinked a glass for attention. I want to make a speech, she announced. Oh no, Caleb muttered affectionately. When Dad first told me he married Iris, I was really confused and kind of mad, because I thought he was trying to replace Mom. But Iris told me something smart. She said she wasn't trying to replace anyone. She was just trying to add something new to our family. And that's what she did. She added herself. And now we're better because she's here. So thanks, Iris, for not giving up when I was difficult. And thanks, Dad, for being brave enough to try something scary. You guys are weird, but you're good weird. The best weird. I love you both. There wasn't a dry eye at the reception. As the sun set over Puget Sound, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Caleb pulled Iris close. We did it, he said. We actually did it. Built a family out of chaos. Built a life out of desperation. Turned something fake into something real. Survived Victor and lawyers and our own fears. Iris laughed. When you put it that way, we're kind of amazing. We really are. They danced on the beach while Marcus played guitar badly, and Maya collected seashells, and Linda distributed leftover barbecue to anyone who'd take it. The moment was imperfect and beautiful and theirs. Later, much later, after everyone had gone home and Maya was asleep and the house was quiet, Caleb and Iris lay in bed talking about the future. I'm thinking of stepping back from CEO, Iris said. Not resigning, but transitioning to board chair. Let someone else handle day-to-day operations while I focus on strategy. You're serious? I am. I've been running at full speed for 15 years. Maybe it's time to walk for a while. Spend more time with you and Maya. Build the life part instead of just the work part. What would you do with free time? I have no idea. That's kind of exciting. Caleb pulled her close. We'll figure it out together. Together, Iris agreed. I like the sound of that. Outside, Seattle slept. Inside, a family that had started as a legal fiction had become the realest thing in all their lives. 6 months ago, Iris had knocked on a stranger's door with a desperate offer and no idea what would happen next. Now she lay in bed with her husband, her real husband, planning a future that included lazy Sundays and family vacations and all the ordinary miracles that make a life worth living. She'd come looking for a legal solution. She'd found a home. And that made all the chaos, all the fighting, all the fear worth every single moment. Because sometimes the best things in life come from the most unlikely beginnings. Sometimes love grows in the spaces between desperation and hope. Sometimes a knock on the door changes everything. And sometimes, just sometimes, the story you're forced to perform becomes the story you choose to live. This was one of those times. And it was real, finally, completely, perfectly real.